doing QuickBooks or anything else. We have administrators for that, but
How does it look, Kai?
Congrats, Kai.
How
Congrats.
does it look, Kai?
we wanted the biggest crook in the group to be the treasurer. I mean, that's the idea. But
Hard spot campaign.
we can do that, I think, in light of I had some talk with Steve too, and I think in this executive session we'll cut it to just us. As far as we had about 5 people that have expressed interest in over the past 3 years actually, and coming in, so we can shuffle somebody in, and then we'll switch things back again. We'll get you out from under that odious treasurer's job. So we were able to talk to the FYSA treasurer. He was real good in my conversation, but later on he turned on me.
Imagine that. Imagine that.
He was a young.
I'm an unpopular guy in that meeting, I'm telling
He
you.
was a young. I got to prove to the world, whippersnapper there, wasn't he?
He's a sharp young kid, but when he started throwing in, what about $1,000 a field? I thought, sure, why not? We got in a discussion yesterday, and we started in USA this way. I used to go to the USA meeting, raise my hand, everybody groaned. So now it's FYSA, it's the same pattern, I raise my hand or say something, everybody just has a nasty word for it. Like me. And I find that's good. I think, being half Irish, I know Mike feels this way too. We fought the English for like 500 years, we don't ever give up.
Hey, none of that talk.
No, I'm sorry. Not because everybody English we don't like. We love them.
Well, he made it sound like, I think he had something he was trying to prove to say that, that FYSA isn't cheating out and sitting on a lot of money.
No.
But making it sound like
yeah. But we'll get to that in the executive session.
Yeah.
Mike, you'll be interested. This is a real interesting change. It's not a change, but and let's get through this, and I'll go back into it. This was an interesting discussion. All right, so old business we got. We know you got to send the suspensions in. I don't know what we're going to do. We're still going to have kids with red cards, right? That's got to serve them, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Technically.
All right. We have this yellow card rule this year. Greg says that GOTS Soccer, there is a way in GOTS Soccer right now to keep track of them. Not a simple way, but a way to do that.
Yeah, hey, Sherry,
We report them.
we just click on that report, the red card report that's on the line there, on the bar. And it's got every kid's name with how many yellows they got, how many reds.
Right. No, I know that.
But they got to be reported, Sherry. It's the same problem, actually.
Well, that's the referee. That's what we have to do.
Yes.
Right.
Well, and then
We've changed the fees to the referee assigner, so we're hoping to get better. So Sherry isn't doing 300 games every week trying to figure out.
Well, the good news is the more cards the kid gets, it pops to the top. You can sort it. So it's not like you got to drill down through all this muck. It comes right up to the top. Whoever's got the most.
But that is another administrative duty we've got to go through now that we have a rule in place.
that's what I was going to say. So are we going to do the same process, like send a letter and post them to the red card site?
Yes, I think you have to.
Has to.
What do you guys think?
Okay.
No, unfortunately, it does. Because if it results in a red card, it results in a red card. A red card is a red card.
Yeah.
It has to be notified.
I'm just concerned about keeping up with it, but
No,
I'll try it and we'll see.
I think
Well,
that's
here's the thing, Sherry. If you miss it, it's not the end of the world.
Right.
If you catch it, or maybe he has 2 more than he was, and he was supposed to have been given a red card 2 yellow cards ago, you still give him a red card.
Well, we're not giving him a red card. We're just suspending him for a game for
whatever.
in relation to yellows.
Well, whatever. You still suspend him for the game. Yeah.
But I think what we'll see with the one complaint is it's not being fairly enforced because all the yellow cards are not getting reported.
Well, that we can't control.
I know, but I'm just saying that's our exposure there, I guess.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to really get it out to the ARs.
Yeah. Oh no. I mean, we got to push and push for.
I mean, the
Right.
difference is, like, with the red card, the player gets a red line through their
I mean,
name, right?
Right.
But
Yeah.
the yellow card is that player won't be redlined. So if they don't sit out, like, nobody will know that.
Yeah, not only that, they have to prove they're sitting out. I mean, this it adds an administrative burden, and we'll do it for a year and see how we do. And then if it
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense, we can revisit it.
Yeah, we'll try it.
All right, new business. Well, we know the junior applications for everybody out there are due 8/1. Coaches meetings 7/22 and 8/19. And you know that second meeting, guys, we're going to have the U8s there also. So it's going to be a real long day. Interesting, but long.
I did post a meeting schedule. Y'all can look it over. If you think it needs to be adjusted, let me know. But it is posted on the calendar.
And that first meeting will be actually before the AGM, and the second meeting will be on the first day of play, just so everyone knows it, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
First day of
8/19,
senior play.
the first day of play will be when the AGM is, I do believe, correct? Senior.
Right.
Same
12.
day. Same day. So you guys that are coaches, I got a senior coaches, especially Alan, Steve,
Yep.
that's when the AGM, I believe, is our first day of play. Am I correct in assuming that?
Yep.
Yes.
So,
I think so, yeah.
Mike, same thing. Mike, you're going to have teams in there.
Yeah.
And Mark,
No, I took the year off this year.
okay. But
Yeah,
so
I'm
we've
not
got at
coaching
least,
I'll do,
we've got
yeah.
at least 3 guys, and Merritt, if there's games, might be involved somewhere. So we got to.
Yeah, I'm not coaching competitive, so
All right.
I'll be
Oh,
available.
that's right. That's right. I keep saying you go back to high school, but you're
I'm
not.
done. Yeah, I'm done
Well, we'll
with
still have a couple of
All right.
to check that anyway.
Coaching
Colin
it anyway.
Has a potential too.
I'll be around.
All right. Yeah, I'm just saying it's something to check. I noticed that conflict when I was looking at everything. We got a ref assigners meeting scheduled. What are you going to do online, Greg?
Yeah. Yeah. Same thing. I think I made it at 8:00 on those dates. The first one's just the assigners, and then the second one, they're going to get the local club ref assigners and have them log in so we can go through everything.
Hey, U8 format. Let's agree right now what it's going to be exactly. Can we?
Yeah, it's called U9s.
No, but I'm saying it's U9.
U9 asterisk.
U9 asterisk. Whatever it is for U9s, it's for U8s.
I gotcha. Hey, very good.
All right, let's move on.
I feel like I got salt on my tail right now.
Sorry about that.
In this thing, there's 2 or 3. Sherry had asked me first. There was something in our rules about having ARs at 9s and 10s.
Right.
I suggested we just make that a recommendation. Don't have to do it. You're not forced to do it, but
Right.
if you want to do it, we're fine with it. There's nothing wrong.
I don't think we can mandate it because there's not enough out there, but it is a good training if the clubs feel like they have a lot of young referees that want.
So that is not a requirement. That's just a suggestion.
Yeah.
Right.
I would assume, yeah.
All right. Secondly, there's 8s now. Greg and I went back and forth about what to pay the ref. My contention is I don't necessarily want a kid that has never been in the middle of a field to be doing 6s and 7s. Not that they shouldn't, but I mean, you know what the parents are going to be like. It is going to be a cluster.
I really honestly think we have to have a referee.
A real
I
one.
think if it's going to be
I think so
considered,
too. You
if
gotta
it's going to be considered a competitive type of game,
So we want to pay them. We want to pay them appropriately so that we can get somebody to do them.
I don't think it's any different than U9, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it is because the time limit, it's 4-8.
Time limit,
It's
okay.
not-
Time
it's
limit.
less time.
4-8
Well,
minutes.
I also got to say that, you know, what are the referees going to be asked to do when you got kids whose attention?
I know that Greg will
That's a
come.
good point.
Greg and Merritt will come up with something to suggest at those referee meetings because this is new. I mean, we're pioneering this in our league.
I think they'll be more like a boxing referee. They'll have to just like blow the whistle, pull them apart a little bit, you
That's
know.
that's pretty much what happened last year.
Tell them to go to their corners and then, okay, start again.
The referee, seriously, the referee never had to leave the center circle
No,
last year. He just stands in the middle there because the field's only so long, and you know.
the only foul they're really going to call is, I mean, if some kid just goes over and kicks somebody.
There was
So let's go to the pay. Greg and I went back and forth between 20 and 25. I say give him 25. Maybe we'll get somebody, he'll do 2 or 3 of them in a day and he'll know what he's actually doing out there. I think you got to be better. It's like teaching. You got to be better at the younger ages, a better mentor than you do. And a 16-year-old kid is not
I'll
liable.
be honest with you. Yeah, I agree. I think it's something where even the coaches, I think, would appreciate it being a little bit of a learning tool for the kids. You know, I mean,
Correct.
you know, where the referee still got to monitor throw-ins, but would mentor them and say, look, that needs to be, you know, 2 feet need to stay on the ground or something like that.
Well, and I think that's got to be in somewhere when we start to define this better. That's got to be part of it, don't you think? It express to the coaches and everybody in the league that this is a learning league, so that the referee may stop for a second and instruct somebody in what they've done wrong. Correct?
that's the first thing under the guidelines, Paul.
As long as it's the rules of the game, you know, not coaching them, but as long as it's just the simple rules of the game, which is, you know, applies to
Yeah,
everybody.
if you guys, if you want, here, hold on. I can get this so you can take a look at it. Hold on.
So let's go back to the dollars. 25 work for you guys?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
All right.
Let me get here. Hold on a second.
What is it for U9 or U10 referee?
40.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'd say
Here's
25.
70, 60, 50, 40.
Yeah. Here's for those of you that haven't read it. This is the format. 4 8-minute quarters. The score is kept just for the fact that there will be a winner for the game, but no standings. You don't report the score or nothing like that.
Right.
And the reason we keep the score is because it's a 4-goal differential deal where the other team pulls a player off.
Oh, okay. Like in rec. Okay.
Right. So you keep it kind of even there. You don't want blowouts.
Yeah.
Build out line or build out area, offsides, throw-ins, no keeper punts, all of that, all of those rules.
Oh, yeah. All those apply. Mm-hmm.
Just like in the nines. Again, after we heard all this what went down in the meeting yesterday, was kind of like, well, geez, I mean, really, we want teams here. We don't want what Eastlake did, Palm Harbor did, and the Romildo's guys. We don't want 14 and 15-year-olds playing in an under-8 league. Okay?
Oh my God!
No, I'm serious. There were kids there that were 12 years old, at least 12 years old, playing against 6-year-olds.
Well, how did they get away with it?
Why?
Well, the rate, like I said, that's why I
No
said
rules. There's no rules.
all primary registered players, no guest players, no secondaries, no CPs, nothing. It's an instructional and education league. Okay?
Yeah, but can it be a revolving roster, though?
We'll wait to see.
You know how
about
we
that.
did that with U10s, you know,
We'll wait
earlier
to
on
see.
where
Well, it's kind of hard to do that
Consider
because,
that. I mean, that's good. That'll open it up a little bit to me, make it a little more relaxed. Yeah.
well,
that's what I'm
what
saying. If
do
you
there-
have that 20, you know, I mean, because a lot of clubs will have, you know, I mean, even just from my experiences in St. Pete, you know, they'll have maybe 14 kids, not enough maybe for, I don't even know if that's doing, maybe they'll have 12 kids or 13, you know, not enough for 2 teams, but
Well,
they
they
want
want
to keep
12.
those kids. So they're going to rotate their roster. I mean, it kind of goes back to that rostering this
There's
many
no sense.
players. And,
There's no sense to put in 2 teams with 12 players. Makes no
that's what I'm
sense at all.
saying. So, but they want to keep them on board. So what they're going to do is they're going to rotate it. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said,
They're allowed to have 12 players.
if we make them drop them and add them and drop them and add them every time they have to do it for 8, can't we
Well,
just
they have
leave
to.
that?
They're allowed to have 12. They're allowed to have 12. 9s and 10s are allowed to have 12 on their roster.
All right. What?
So that's
Yeah,
the
okay.
roster size. And this is going to put, what you're suggesting is going to put a whole hell of a lot of work on the club registrar on Friday night. Whoever that person is not going to have any peace on a Friday night.
No, I'm saying if we loosen the rule a little bit and say we don't have, we can.
Well, then we invite 12-year-olds to play with 6-year-olds.
No. They got to be registered.
We got to be registered, but what I'm saying is they can.
It's rostering we're talking about.
We can allow a write-in or two as long as they have a player card.
No, absolutely not.
All right.
Yeah, I think
Why-
we're gonna-
Why,
I think
why,
we're gonna have
why
to,
would
but-
we not have? Why would we not be a lot more flexible with the UA?
That's what I. That's
Yeah, I mean, it's an opportunity for these kids to play travel soccer.
What's the what?
You
what's
might have
the
a
issue?
couple of rec kids that want to come in and try it out for a game or two. I mean,
Liability for one, with rec and competitive. Number two, I don't know how many calls and how many arguments did we sit last year that that weren't recorded protests about illegal players playing on their teams.
in U8.
And U12.
Yeah, but UA is-
No, I'm not talking about U12. I'm talking
We
about
got to
U8.
come up with something.
Steve, if they do it with 12s, they're going to do it with 8s. Trust
Well,
me.
they can do it with
We
it.
got to come up. We got to come up with something more rational than that.
I
So
saw,
wait, Greg, there would be no need to do it because there's no stand-ins, so there's nothing to gain.
And they
There's
got
nothing to gain.
well,
they got to register.
I saw 12-year-olds playing against 6-year-olds last
They
year. in the
can't
CBL.
do
No,
that.
you
They
can't
have
do
to be
that.
registered with a player card. They have to have a player card. So even if you took a rec player and brought him over to the U8 to play because the parent was possibly interested in playing competitive next year, you would have to then supply that rec player with a player card of appropriate
Okay.
age.
No problem.
Yeah,
Your
that's all I'm
registration-
saying is, do we have
Talking
to?
about rosters, not registration.
Yeah, do we have to make them be on the game card?
Yes.
Or can they write it in on the game card as long as they have a valid player pass?
The referees will not know. The referees can't make the sense out of what we're doing today.
First of all, look, what age groups are we talking about? Is this
Just
12? Is this 2012 and 2011?
2010, 2011 only.
Is eights
Oh.
and is
No,
7
no.
and 8?
Yes.
Isn't 2010s already under 9?
No. They're 8s. They're under 8s.
We're in 2018.
No, they're under 8s because we're in 2017. So
They're
Well,
going
no,
to
but
be 8.
we're, calendar year 2018 is what we're
Right.
already looking at, correct?
2010, 2011. That means they will turn 8 that year sometime.
sometime. Yeah.
So Greg, so let's say in the rec, in the rec league, you see a kid that's under 9, under 8, and he's really good and he's playing rec. What does he have to do to play that Saturday?
He would have to drop him from the rec team and add him to the competitive team,
Okay.
right?
Yeah. No problem with that.
Or have them on an open roster, which would be much easier.
But you know how like they wouldn't know what the open roster would be because we have like 10 teams of U8s and U7s, whatever it is.
But I think that we were looking at this as an ability for clubs to build
Yes,
their
that's what I'm
younger
saying.
players, right?
Right, that's what I'm saying. So you can
So,
pick
I
a
mean,
player
I can look at from a West Pasco standpoint, and I'll tell you right now, we could probably put in 3 teams. And we probably will. But St. Pete might only be able to put in 1 team. But as the year goes along, they're going to start to build upon that. So they want to try this kid out, try that kid out, try this kid out.
Can I throw something in? Have we found the parents willing to travel their kids on a Saturday morning across town for this?
Well, that's the club's issue, though, Mike.
That's
right?
the club's
I understand that, but I mean, the league is going to be dependent on the clubs, right? I mean,
And to some degree, when we have this meeting, Mike, that's going to be the experimental part of it. Is everyone going to show? In other words, maybe you need bigger. See, I'm not.
well, I'll tell you what, I got 30 kids, and I guarantee you that I will not have 30 wanting to travel on a Saturday morning.
Well,
So-
again, that's true. But so then maybe
you
you put
roster
in 1
30
team.
of them, Mike. You only register 1 team in the league, and when the home games come,
Well,
the
that's
people
with
travel.
4,500. Yeah, that would be the way to do it. Yeah.
Right, but what I'm saying is you still then have to add and deactivate and activate and deactivate. All I'm asking is that it's taking a little pressure off the registers of the clubs to say you've got a roster of 30 kids. I'm going to these are the 7 that are, or whatever, 10 or whatever it is that are going to play today.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I think nothing is going to be a
So
threat.
we're
I mean,
gonna-
for you, it's
we're
going
gonna
to be very
strive.
flexible.
We're going to
As long as you have 10 cards that match that age group.
All right. Steve, humor me for a second. Just for
All
1
right.
second. If this was a U9 league, would you be having the same argument?
No.
Why?
Because you're
Well,
keeping.
you could, yes.
Sure.
You could. You
Because
want an
they're
open
starting to
roster?
lean, because they are starting to lean now towards, because we're not calling a U9 a U10 a developmental anymore.
Well, that's
Now,
what I'm
if it
saying, though.
is-
But you're going to have a pool of U9s. You're going to have a pool of 25 players on the U9 that you're going to want to do the same thing.
Then fine, then do it.
But
But
here's
you're
the
not,
thing.
no,
Here's
no,
the
you're
problem.
not, though.
Right now, the way the bylaws are, with say you can only roster 12 to a team.
That's
Well,
fine.
I like Steve's idea. I think we should have an open roster.
Yeah,
on
yeah,
it.
we have no
You have to get a
bylaws.
bylaw
We have
change.
no
You
bylaws
get a
for
bylaw
that.
change in with FYSA.
Well, that's fine, but at least you could roster 12 kids, but you might only have
You
You
can
might
roster
only
12.
8 that are going to show up or whatever. I mean, so why can't we allow a guest player to come in off of a rec team or let's just say a club pass player, not necessarily a guest player?
Because, well, you'd have, club pass player would be allowed. We just take that off. But
That's
you
just,
don't have secondary.
but I
Or
think
at the very least,
that's
have
too
a club
much work.
pass player. Maybe not a guest player, but at the very least, a club pass player. Someone that's within the club can come and just play on that roster and be
But you'd have to be a
secondary.
competitive. You'd have to be on the competitive side. You can't come from a rec. Club pass.
Why?
player.
No,
But that's how this is going to grow, though. We're going to grab kids from the rec.
Well, then we should be able, as long as they have a valid pass, we should be able to rent.
That's an FYSA rule, though.
Mark, if it grows in the system we're talking about, they won't have a team registered. There are too many, so we have an open roster to make sense out of it.
But guys, if this grows, you want a recreation program.
Well,
Well,
true. No, you're right, Mike. You'll always have those people that are not gonna travel, regardless of how good their kid is. They're
Well,
not gonna
the question before us on this, so we've got to end up looking at the roster size that we will allow in under 8 and have it on our guidelines.
Well,
And
what
then
is
you're
that,
changing
Gary?
dot soccer.
Well, wait a
I
minute,
don't think
wouldn't
so.
you, what, quick question. We're calling this anyway, we have to call it
U9.
U9.
U9s.
Right.
So just like in the CDL, you're allowed to roster 12 players at the U8s because it's under U9 rules.
Right.
Right.
And if Mike has its way, Kai, it'll be bigger than that.
And
Yeah.
aren't we still allowed to use club class players in 9 or no?
Yeah, but they have to be competitive from a competitive team in your club.
Okay,
Not from a
so
rec team.
worst case scenario. Okay, so and that's our rule, or that's FYSA?
Yeah.
So FYSA is what, $25 to register your player and get the insurance and all that stuff, right?
So then they would register him as a competitive player under a pseudo team, and then club pass them to.
Well, then we have to take out the no secondary players as well. 'Cause you're talking about a pseudo team.
No. He would just be club passed over. I mean, George did it for years. He had 8 girls on a team because they were 19 years old. They couldn't play in certain tournaments. So
I'm
They would
just saying, I
club
don't
pass
think
him
we have
over.
anything to lose to allow players to come in and play in this league. If the coaches are going to start taking this to the point where they're starting to stack these teams just for the fact of winning, then we get rid of the dang division, because that's not the purpose of it.
I agree.
I
Yeah.
agree with that. Yeah.
So
so let's-
I agree with you, Greg, that, yeah, okay, we do have to have some guidelines, otherwise it'll get out of control. But I don't know, we don't, in any other division, we don't have it where it's no guest players, no secondary players, no club.
yeah, I think the
Yeah, we
other
do.
thing is
We most certainly do.
we're making assumptions about roster sizes and what we can and can't do, and we really don't know what we can and can't do. So my suggestion is we all go back right now. We'll check with FYSA, and we'll know by the time we go to this meeting, right?
Right.
As to the roster size, everything else on here is okay, though. Am I correct in assuming that?
Well, roster size is going to be what it is in 9s, because we're
Yeah,
registering.
it's because you're playing under U9
Right.
rules. That's how the CDL runs it. That's how you're able to.
That's how it
Let
is.
me ask you something, Kai. If this, let's just say this open roster thing comes in, do we then accept that too?
I guess we have to, but I don't think it's going to come in.
Wait a minute. If it comes in, wouldn't we have to accept it because it's from FYSA?
If it
No,
depends if it's mandated.
As a league, we can restrict.
No,
it.
the league, we can make it to where they say it can be.
We can have
overrun.
league rules that say we only allow 12 on a roster.
Depends if it's a mandate or a recommended guideline.
But
Right.
that's the only thing we're trying to get to now is roster size and how we're going to handle the age.
Yeah, but to be honest with you, I'm just looking at the fact that we're restricting.
Yeah, I don't think we
Club pass
should.
players.
I think we should try and find the most open.
I don't care if the roster size is 12 or it's 24 or it's 45. What I'm saying is that I want to be able to have kids have the opportunity to get the experiences on a game by game basis if necessary,
Yeah, I think-
without
Sure.
you know, sacrificing to make sure that, like you said, Greg, we don't have, 12s and 13-year-olds playing in us.
Well, the other problem you have is you
Registration.
have to keep the no guest players and no secondary players. Because
But there should be no guest players. They should all come from within the club.
Within the club, right.
Then just take out the
there
no
are multiple
club pass
clubs
players.
that play CDL and USA. They'll play their CDL team as a USA team.
But there's nothing to gain though, Greg, because they're not going to be in the
No
standings.
competition. There's no
Yeah, it's
standing.
just scores.
And if they stack their team just to win,
It's silly. It doesn't count for anything.
then I ain't going to have a very happy
You're,
outlook on it.
you're going to have some at the small, because we have 52 member clubs or something like that.
Right.
Not every club is going to be run correctly. You're going to have some fringe clubs that are going to try to win every game at every cost.
Because
That's
that's the only.
something that we can't control. I mean, that just is going to happen. It is going to happen.
Well, that might be all they have, to be honest.
Yeah, I
with
mean, you were talking about. Let's talk about a club like. I'm just picking a club, maybe like.
Braden River.
No, let's talk about a club like.
Plant City does that. Plant City does that constantly.
So let's just think about a club that doesn't have much oversight. It doesn't have a director of coaching where everybody can do what they want to do. We're going to have issues, but I don't think it's going to be the majority of clubs are going to.
Well, the other thing is this is experimental. If we find out that happens, then we tightly change and reconnoiter the rules.
Right.
This
Well,
is an experimental season. Everybody knows that.
understood, but I have to get to the assigners and the referees
Right.
with some type of format and
Right.
logical
Well,
way to manage the
Tell them
game.
on underage, you'll let them know because we don't know. Well, the only question we have is what's the maximum roster size they can put.
Right.
Well,
If
it's
they-
12.
If they,
What's the number on the field again? I can't see it from here.
7v7.
7v7.
And I think the roster size is 12 because that's what it is for
that's
you.
what the nines, guys.
So what I'm saying is, if we allow club pass players in 9s,
Yes,
why aren't we
yes.
allowing them in 8s? Okay,
Where are they club passing from?
From their
the
own
club
club.
pass is 6 or 7 year old, but that's okay.
They got a 6 or 7-year-old league they're going to club pass from?
well,
They can have two teams, Greg. They don't have to be both playing in the under 9 development league.
Well, they have to have.
Club pass them
That
over.
would be our case in Fisher. We have two
yeah, they
teams.
might have 1.5 teams,
Right.
and they have just enough to form the minimum amount of kids, and then they're
Yes,
going to rotate
yes,
them.
that's the
Club
point.
pass these players.
Well, that's-
Having a team registered does not mean that you have to play them in our under 9 league.
and that's the,
And then they can be club passed over because they're part of the club.
what I'm worried about is I'm worried about a team registering 4 players, okay, for a team, and then, pulling players from the next league next door and every place else to have it, and then they miss 3 or
No,
4 games.
keep in the no guest players and the no, but
And
don't
secondary, no
You can't
secondary.
eliminate club
Just-
pass.
and
You
no
gotta make-
secondary.
you gotta
Just
make
at
it
least-
as simple as possible.
at the very simple, just maybe eliminate the no club pass players because there
All
might be
Like I said,
scenarios where
You will have people that will misuse the format. We know that already. We're hoping it'll be a limited amount. If you see it's everybody, we'll have to rejigger the rules to tighten that up. But aside from that, we're going to make it. You can't make it so difficult for everybody so that the one asshole in a group gets, doesn't take advantage of it because those guys, you can't make it that hard. Just
How about we don't finalize the roster until a much later date?
Well, yeah, or we just got to find out we know the roster size is 12. Now, here's a question. If you want to have more kids in your developmental league, then register 2 teams
Right, but you
We're
might
only
not
gonna
have
spend-
enough to play 2 teams.
We're only
Right.
gonna schedule, yeah, but you're only scheduling, then there's schedule one.
Okay, here's the
I'll
example.
pass the others up.
Paul, here's the example. This is what I did 2 years ago with my 10s. Okay, I had just enough for 2 teams, just enough. Okay, but obviously each week there was going to be 2 or 3 kids missing.
Sure.
Okay, so I registered 2 teams because I wanted to play. I wanted all the, even if a couple. Now you say a kid is going to be able to or not be able to play in more than one game. Yes or no? We don't know.
Oh, all right. What if
Okay.
we do this? What if we get them to push for a 22-man roster like they do for the Olders?
Well, then that's fine too because it's the same thing. Then,
Same thing.
Then it's just about a matter of activating and deactivating.
The only difficulty for us is how many teams are you registering to be scheduled by us?
Right, right.
Right, but there was a lot of games before they came up with the rule of we couldn't have write-ins, where I would go up with I'd play a morning game with my one team, and then half of that team would play an afternoon game
Right.
in another club, okay, under another schedule with the others that only didn't play that
Absolutely.
morning.
But
Okay.
now you technically, even though you will never get caught doing that, technically now you can't do that.
You can't do that at all now with these rules.
And
Okay.
we'll have to keep the same thing. In other words, we cannot
So
have
what I'm
kids
saying is
in
maybe
our
we don't
league
go to
playing
the-
2 matches.
yeah, maybe we don't go to the extent of it being that easy to do, but somewhere where they can have a kid. And now, correct me if I'm wrong, Greg, is it a mandate or is it a recommendation of not playing more than one game in a day?
It's a recommendation.
It's not a mandate, but except at the state level, state cup level.
Okay, so you could have a kid that
No,
does
right.
that, plays a game in the morning, and then is a filler in and plays an afternoon, as long as there's that 2-hour block or whatever, and plays the game as long as
I believe that's what he said, right, Paul?
Yeah, but when we go to the AGM, that is a specific question we should ask and say, we have kids that may be playing 2. Should we waste 5 hours every week trying to run down some kid that's played in 2 matches? Or
no.
you
We
just
don't do it today.
suggested, and if it's obvious to us, then we will tell the
All I'm saying is that rule limits what
Yes,
of what I used to do, and let me
Yes,
tell you
yes,
something.
yes.
Those kids went from hardly winning a game in U10 to winning their division in U11s because of the amount of experience that I was giving them.
And that's
So-
the point, I think, in this thing. So let's just keep this open right now as to who can play. But we know that everybody's going to be limited by how many teams you will ask us, USA, to schedule in this
Right.
developmental league.
But I will put
You
2
can't
teams
have
in.
2 if you got 10 kids.
But Paul, if I have 14 kids, I will put 2 teams in if I'm allowed to bounce them back and forth.
Okay, why not?
On the
I
same
won't-
day?
Yes, on the same day. Not all of them. Not all of them.
No,
but
technically, I don't know. That's a good question. We're going to have to find that out.
okay,
Here's
if
my
I have 14,
I
16
don't know. I
kids,
get you.
I'm going to register 2 teams. Now that might only give me 2 subs. And if it works out that way, then I don't have to bounce anybody. But if all of a sudden I get 3 kids out, I gotta move one.
Well, that's a question we got to ask FYSA, is if in our developmental league, we have kids that will be playing 2, maybe
Well, if-
2 matches.
My
That's-
assumption is, though, is if they are allowed, we won't be allowed because they're not allowed to be club class, according to this rule here.
No, we haven't made a rule for club pass.
No, but if we pass this,
Oh, yeah, no.
the way it's worded, no guest players, no secondary players, no club pass players, under that scenario, I couldn't do that.
That's
If you
correct.
take out club pass player allowed, then I could at least do that.
I agree. So let's take it to a vote. Do we
So
allow?
I would say no guest players is fine. No secondary players, I think, Greg, correct me if
Yep.
I'm wrong,
That's fine.
is fine, but we eliminate.
So make a motion, Steve, and
I make a motion that out of that rule, because Greg, you need to advise the referees, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I make a motion that we keep in no guest players, no secondary players, but we eliminate no club pass players allowed from that
Yeah.
rule.
Have we got a second on that?
I'll second that.
All right.
Second.
All in
Otherwise-
favor of Steve's motion, which is to take out the no club
Club pass allowed,
players
Yes.
allowed.
okay.
Everyone in favor
Yes.
say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay. Otherwise, I think, Greg, I think the rest of those rules are perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I
We
think,
can get around the club pass. We just got to work on it a little bit. And before we have the under 8 meeting, we will be of one mind as to how to handle it.
and you know what? We could always, if we get to the coaches meeting and the coaches like the no club pass players, then fine. We could always put it back in,
Yeah.
you know,
Yes, yeah.
but I don't want to, but I
That's
think,
what we do.
yeah, I think, you know, there
It's
could be a couple of
experimental.
scenarios where you do
That'll-
have
Let's experiment.
clubs are trying to stretch it and make 2 teams as opposed to 1, maybe, you know.
Well,
There's
And
no-
that- Steve,
Yeah.
in
Mike's
last
point,
year's,
Let's get the maximum amount of kids playing this thing.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
No one is guys showing up at your thing with 3 kids because they can't.
Because they can't club pass a player over to.
well,
Yeah.
Greg, what were you gonna say?
in last year's CDL, there was probably at least a dozen games where the club that had 2 teams couldn't field the second team. So when the team went there to play, there was no team to play.
Right, that's what I want to avoid.
Right.
And do we
So
smack
as long
them
as
in-
they're allowed to
do we
play
smack
2
them in the
games
head
in
for
one
that?
day,
If they don't show up to this thing, is there a penalty?
Just like
Yeah,
like
it's a
anything
forfeit.
else, it's a forfeit.
it's a forfeit.
Well, there's no
And they
game.
pay.
We're not keeping track of it. So what's
But this club pass, but taking out the no club pass player would allow me, as long
I
as they're
agree.
allowed to play 2
my
games.
point beyond that is if guys do not show up for the match, do we fine them?
Of
Yes.
course. Of course we do.
No
so
different
that's,
than anything
that's the
else.
enforcement.
But then on one side, guys, on one side we are trying to make it flexible, but then you start talking about fines.
Well, okay, what we're saying is if you don't,
Yeah,
they are
well, it's two
flexible
different
and
things.
they talk during the week. Is this game gonna take place? Yes
well,
or
that's
not?
a different situation. We're not talking about that. Yeah, I
No, we're
agree
not
with
talking
you.
about
there. I
that. What
agree.
we're
with
saying,
We're talking about it's game day. The referees show up. The one other team shows up, and you just decide not to come. That's what we're talking about.
That'll destroy a league and a concept.
I think we have something else to look at with the U8s, and are we going to enforce the week-long thing, or can this be then narrowed down to a 48-hour notice of I'm not going to have a team, or I won't be able to come, you know, or are we going to keep it at where we have it now with the 7-day mandate and the 21-day mandate?
like I said, the CDL has no rules like that in place.
Well, I think we have to have some kind of rule in place with
Those
that.
clubs did everything willy-nilly as they saw fit.
Well, at the very least, I would think that you would have to at least give a team, if you weren't going to show up in a U8 situation only, at least 48 hours or 72 hours. Yeah. You know, and then where we wouldn't find them. Or we would just have to pay the referee fees or something.
They would
like
pay
that.
the referees, right?
Yeah. I think if you go 72 hours or 48 hours or 72 hours, then the only thing, if you're not going to show up, is that you would then be forced to pay the referee. We wouldn't fine them the other $250 that you.
We're going to make the fine more reasonable, but the point is, if people do not show up for matches, you don't have a league.
But if you just willy-nilly don't show up, then yeah, you pay the whole thing. Greg, does that sound reasonable? I mean, as far as at least
Well,
letting
yeah.
them.
Well, I guess the question is it a game that you say, well, okay, I don't have enough players because a couple kids are sick and we'll reschedule it for a later date? Or are we going to every week not have enough players because we only registered 4? That's the point I'm getting at. And there's a lot of teams that do that with 9s
I
and
agree. You're right.
9s and 10s, not just 8s.
Well, maybe we shouldn't have done this
Well,
8-year-old thing then.
What's that?
Maybe we shouldn't have done this under 8s then with all of these issues.
No.
What about self-scheduling?
No, I think it's a great idea. But
No. I think it's just a matter of determining. Like I agree with you, Greg. That it's something that we as maybe vice presidents, Mike and I are going to have to look at and say, look, hey, if this is going to be a regular thing, then you need to, we have to monitor. I think this a little bit more in finding out the root of where this team is. Okay. I see that there's only 4 kids on this roster.
Now you're back to rejiggering schedules in the middle of the season.
No. I'm talking about pre. Like when we go to accept these teams.
So you got to put some kind of negative reinforcement in showing up.
Well, I
Even if
think
it's $100.
if it's a no show, it's a full fine of $300. If there's at least 72 hours notice, they pay the referees. But they're still not going to want to do it every week, pay referees, and not show up to games. It's still money out of their
The home team's playing a ref, so it doesn't. I mean, that's
not if the away team doesn't show up.
No, we're going to charge them. But here's the other point, though, Steve. If there isn't some negative, I think 250 is too
Then
much.
you
But I mean, if
then
there
you
isn't
make
some
it
negative
you make it a
thing-
first, second, and third event fall. You make the first time you do it, you just pay the referees. Second time you do it, you pay $200. Third time you do it, you get kicked out of the league or something. You know what I
Right,
mean?
you know.
But remember
I
this.
I think in Georgia it is self-scheduled.
Soft schedule. How does that work?
So everybody, we know who's in the league, who signs up, and then I phone you and I say, do you want to play a game? You know.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's interesting.
That's too hard. That's really hard. You get hold of a coach on the phone.
And how are you going to get? And what do you do with referees?
Well, we
They probably don't have
our own referee. Would we not set their own referees for this thing?
Well, at least the referees would have a schedule, and they would know where to put their referees.
Bottom line, if referees getting paid, they're getting paid whether they do the game or not. That I'm not as worried. They're always going to get paid for the game. What I'm saying is if it's a trend, if it's a habit where they're doing it every week, then I, as a vice president, say, look, this is the second time you've not shown up to a game, so you're now going to be fined, to the referee fee plus another 150. Okay, and then if you do it again, you're gonna from there on out be charged the full $300 plus whatever, or whatever it is, 250 plus referee fee. So, I think we give them one chance where as long as they notify everybody and everything's cool, that's fine. But if they're making a habit of it, of forfeiting every week, even with the 72-hour notice, the fine goes up every time they do it.
I think we just need to
The only reason you'd forfeit is because you don't have enough kids to play, right?
Correct.
But yet we're limiting the size of the rosters, and we're almost forcing that problem.
No, because we took out Club Pass now, so they could carry over players from another team. So if they roster two teams with a minimum amount of kids on it, or maybe only one or two subs, they could pull as long as the kid can play 2 games, they could pull a player from the other team and pull them over. Otherwise, they can roster one team with 12 players on it.
Yeah, Mark, they can register 3 teams. Let's say with 12, they got 36 kids. They can register 3 teams. We are only scheduling one of those teams. So they have 2 other teams theoretically to be able to put past 12. But we'll only allow 3. Maybe we open it up and say 5. I don't know.
Wait, okay, so, all right, all right, so Braden River has 3 teams. Only one of them they feel is like the A team that's good enough to play in.
Or you're not comfortable that all these 6 and 7-year-olds are going to travel. I think Mike's point is really the best.
No, I agree. So, but what you're saying is that, Braden River registers 3
You
teams.
can register any teams you want.
Okay,
Right, okay.
but only one's going to get scheduled, or 2. If we feel,
Correct. That's correct.
and then we would pull players from
Yeah.
that are normally playing rec.
That would be how to handle that thing and not screw anybody up. That way you have enough kids to play, and you can get enough kids in.
Or what you're saying here is, because you can't pull. What Greg is saying, you can't pull kids from rec because they have to be considered to club pass them. You have to have them registered competitively. So what you're saying is that let's say you have 36 kids and the full amount you can put on the roster we said is 12. Okay, so you break that up into 3 teams and maybe only have 1 or 2 subs. You schedule 3 teams, okay? And as long as everybody shows up, you can show up to every game, whatever. But if worst case scenario, all of a sudden that third team, 3 of the kids start dropping off and they don't show up or they get sick or whatever, then you can take 2 or 3, because that's our limit, right? 3, at least 3 club pass players from the first 4 sections. The other problem is what you said is, do you want to do that? Do you want to do an A, B, and C team? See, because to be honest with you, I didn't do it that way. In developmental, it shouldn't be A, B, and C. It should be a mix of kids that at least for U8s. Now U9s, then you could start now dividing them into
But
first,
Steve,
second, and third.
practically, if we're scheduling 3 teams, you're bound to have a day where 2 of the teams are somewhere else and one's at home, and you're not going to be able to swap those.
You trust me, you can do it as long as the schedule. I
No,
mean,
but I'm saying, we're not trying to force people to do that. Mike's point about these 6 and 7-year-olds is well taken, that some of them, when they find out what this is, are going to say, geez, I really can't, I can't do that. Now, the club has scheduled has said, well, we have 2 teams that we want you to schedule. And
well, then it would be
they
advisable.
really don't have 2 teams.
Well,
Yeah, but if you can't club pass them from another team, and this is
Well, we should,
situational, so we can revisit it as we
limit
go.
that. We should limit that.
This is situational. We can revisit this, and this is something more of an advisement to teams. Don't make teams with only 1 or 2 subs. Make sure you have
We
at
don't
least.
want to get in an administrative morass either, where we don't have teams showing up every week.
Well, let me ask you something. Once the U8s and all this league that we've been talking about, once everybody's done, how difficult would it be to go in and look at everybody's roster?
Not difficult at all.
Then
That's
why
what
don't we wait till everybody filters out, red tag the ones that only have 5 or 6.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Contact them before we schedule and say, how realistic is this team?
That's exactly what
I
I
like
was
that.
saying.
That's a good idea.
I think at the meeting, Alan, we got to look them right in the eye and say,
Yes,
It's a meeting.
yes,
you
yes.
can't make this. It's going to be very painful for you and us.
Yes,
So
yes.
think about it.
As a VP of girls, I'm going to look at I'm going to look at these UA teams and like you just said, at the meeting, I'm going to say, look, you have only 4 kids or 5 kids registered on this second team or.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we have a minimum roster?
Do that too.
No, what I'm saying is you cannot put in a team with 5 players and expect to play. As a USA league, let's say you have to have
at least 7 or 8,
whatever it is.
starting 7 at least.
There you go.
it's already in there. The FYSA bylaws are already there.
That's what we should go by.
Well,
Yeah, but what is the FYSA bylaw? What's the minimum on a roster?
So, all right. So this is not
I think it's 8,
determined.
9s, and 10s.
We should have a minimum roster before you submit a team.
Guys, we're not playing. We're not playing until Halloween.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I mean,
So
yeah.
we need to advise these guys of what we want
Yeah.
to do. But
Well, that
if
would
we
be an
gotta
answer
change
to your.
something
I think that
before
would be an answer to your problem is that we have a minimum roster.
Minimum roster.
This
And
is,
we'll look at
I like that.
this
Yeah,
is
okay.
an experimental league, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
we can't anticipate everything.
Right.
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 But
Okay.
let's make sure that we give them the structure that they don't hang themselves.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So
right.
if Greg, if you feel it's necessary, you can now or not. If we do need to vote on these rules, that I think we're all in agreement that we should have at least enough to play. A 7 or 8 minimum.
Yeah, the club pass thing was out. I mean,
That's
We've
fine.
done that. So
No,
now,
that's
if you
fine.
want to add in, teams must roster a minimum of 8 players.
Yeah. Yes.
Just
Yes.
just for us to approve it for now, which we could always change down the
Right.
road,
yeah,
so that at least Greg can give the referees some
In a
guidance.
9-year-old game, they must have 5 players. Is it
6 and 1.
how many?
Isn't it 6 and 1? I just saw
No,
that.
no.
6 and
What
1.
is
No,
the
he's talking
minimum that
about
the
minimum.
referee?
He's talking about minimum.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
The minimum they can start a game with, I believe, is 5 players.
I'm not sure, but it might. Yeah, I'm sure it is. Yeah.
Well, we don't want to promote that. We
So-
can do-
No. What I'm getting
Roster.
is if we make the minimum roster of 8.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then
Yes.
even if they miss 1 or 2, they still have
They
enough.
can
to
still play. They can still.
Well, what you do with that roster minimum of 8, you get the guys that are trying to play the field of like y'all been saying, trying to field all these teams, and that way they got to have a commitment.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah,
Eight's
I
good.
like that. I like that rule. I'll make a motion that we, roster sizes must be a minimum of 8 players for,
Yes.
To count as
Yes.
a team. Yeah.
Yes.
in order
yes.
to register a team. In order to
Yes.
register a
Right.
team.
It's better to have a minimum roster than a maximum
So you got
roster.
a second?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Good point.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, so that's what we're going
And
to
then
put.
The rest we can play it as we go, but we just want to make sure
Absolutely.
that,
Absolutely.
you know, this is important because I know these questions are going to come up.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
big time.
No doubt. Especially with
time.
kids that age. With parents with 6 and 7-year-olds,
Oh,
we're not sure what we're going to get. And I'll point to Mike's comment, and it's right. Not all of them, when they find out they got to drive to, you know, like 20 miles away, and we should endeavor to make this geographically
Yes.
oriented and as tight as possible, so no
But
one.
what they can do is they can now, at the very least, with the CP players and the minimum of 8, if
Yes.
they can't register them in the league, but if they do fall short 1 week or 2, they
right.
could take a recreational player, register them to a team that is not necessarily playing anywhere, but it's a competitive code, and then
Right.
and then club pass player them to
That's correct.
the other team. So
Right.
these are the scenarios we want to try to cover, so that we don't have these teams not showing
Right.
up. And we have a little bit of flexibility.
Remember, you can register any amount of teams you want. You can register a team with FYSA with 1 kid in it.
Right, but with
No, you
FYSA.
can't.
You can
Well,
do
no,
it
no, not
with
with one. I
FYSA.
think
You
it's
can
one.
register
No, you
with
can't. There's a
5
minimum.
kids on it.
There's a minimum, Paul.
No, there isn't. I'm telling you.
Well, either way, you could
You're in,
make a
you're out.
minimum. You could put 4 you could put any kids on those.
Absolutely.
What does it cost to register a player with FYSA? What's the actual hardcore cost?
Is it $20,
I
$25?
think it's $20. But if they're already
20
like,
bucks.
but if they're already a recreational player,
Mm-hmm.
okay, you can move them, and they're already been registered, so it's only.
It's got to pay the
Okay.
difference.
If you guess, yeah, if you, yeah.
The point
Right.
is, though, that you can register teams without scheduling them. There's a difference.
I'm just giving them an option so that they can make sure they don't.
You
fall
can
short.
have a team there that never plays in a league. Registered
Right.
with that
So it would
team.
be a practice squad.
Trust me, every squad, every club has a pseudo team in rec and a pseudo team in
So
competitive.
you pay $20
Right,
to sign those
right.
kids up, and
Kids
they're
back
there
and
as a
forth from.
pool. They can go back and forth.
Right.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, we're good.
Okay.
Let's.
Hey, Mark, just as a check, what's the distance from you to Venice?
There's exit 190, and Lakewood Ranch is 213. So there's your mile difference, and maybe 4 miles after that. So
So 25-mile difference?
yeah,
Okay, because if there's not enough teams, there's no way in hell we're going to schedule teams from down there.
Well, at the meeting, they can decide and say, hey, I can't do that drive. That's
Right.
part of what that under 18
Right.
is going to be.
I mean, we have
Well,
to take a look
going
at
back
that.
to Mike, what he's saying about a flexible scheduling, we could always allow them to do like weekend things, you know, if that's what they wanted to do. You know, like we schedule them, but then they go back and reschedule them to be a Saturday, Sunday
Well,
deal.
they can always play matches. It's
Right.
just we're not scheduling them.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
Next. So we got that set, or no, we don't have it set, but we know the issues.
Well, it's set enough for now, at least to get us.
Yes.
yeah.
All right. For the good of the game, the UK soccer tour. Now, Mark or Mike. Mike.
Mike.
I'm here. So we've got 19 players going over. We had a couple of players drop out, so we're trying to fill 2 more spots. But we leave it on the 26th, come back on the 8th. We got training every day and games. Going to the Arsenal Atletico Madrid game plus some other games, and they're shaping up to be very good.
Cool.
Very good.
So if there's
All
anyone
right, so
else,
we- and we'll-
if there's a coach or a player that wants to join us, we got 2 spots left.
How much would
much?
that be if a kid did that, Mike?
I'm working.
2,500 all in, airfare, hotel, games, trips,
What age?
food.
What is he, 16?
Yeah, so 2000, 2001s, 2000s, 202s, something like that.
2000s and 2001s.
Yeah, and we got some. Well, the majority of the players are 2001s. We got a couple of 2000s, but
But it
2000
could be a 2000 or a 2001.
Yeah, 2000. So certainly 2002s would be more comfortable at this level. 2001s, 2002s, 2001s really,
Oh, okay.
and coaches. I mean, we got some younger kids going, but it's in that
How
crowd.
much for the coach?
Most of them are 2002s, 2001s.
Yeah, how much for the coach?
2,500.
Oh, okay.
All right. Do we do the stuff that we learned yesterday in the executive committee or here?
Well, how many people are online? I mean, how many people? I mean,
Well, we
what's
just have just a
the only
broad-
reason why we would do it here is if we to inform
So
some of the
let's,
clubs that
okay,
we're
so let's
there
do the one thing here, the referees. There seems to be a sea change in how the referees are going to be able to become referees. What we're told right now, and all you clubs out there aren't that many, I know out there, but on our site, we're gonna have to do this. What he described is you're gonna go in yourself without anybody else and be able to take an online test and become a certified referee. Now, you will then go into a pool and someone will have to find you in that pool because they will not, the referee soccer association will not tell you who the local assigners are. Okay, they won't do that. So that the local assigners will then have to find these kids in a pool somehow. Better than nothing, I guess. So we'll know more about that, but that sounds very promising. Number two, the guy that was at the meeting, what was his name? Ken
Miller.
Ken Miller.
Yeah, he's out by you, Alan, right? Is he a Lakeland guy?
Yeah, he's a Lakeland guy.
He's somewhere out there. So he was adamant now when he starts getting hit with everybody asking him to do this, but he said they will come out. He will get somebody himself or another mentor or a type of trainer or a type of referee who could teach, and they will come to your place and train. So you get all these kids who have no experience, but they do have referee badges now because you can now get it without a class, without the field, which sounds crazy, but it may get rid of the log jam that we're facing. So kids sign up, and we USA will be a participant in this. We can now schedule these guys to come out to fields and do training for all your referees, including all the new ones, and even best, specifically all the new ones. Now, if you go to schedule them, they say it'll be 5 months. That's what we don't know. But because of our muscle, we have because we'll be able to coordinate this. And if we got to, we'll throw some money at it. We should be at the front of the class for this thing, as far as being able to get us to do that. So, all right. That's the first thing. So it's a whole sea change right now into how this referee thing's working, and it may be a good start if everyone here on the board starts thinking about creative ways to get at this. This will be a big help as far as.
I think we hold regional, maybe
Yeah.
like
Well,
four
we
of
can
them.
work that out, but the biggest problem they had, he acknowledged all of it, that the site was hard to use, it was hard to get set up, it was hard to get information back. And so the changing entire site, it'll be up on July 15th, and this whole new system will be in place at that point.
Yeah, and he said that system should be a lot more user-friendly.
Two, we saw a girl yesterday named Renee Lopez, who was she's been a college coach, and she's written a book, and she's also I guess she's in this Positive Coaching Alliance thing. She's one of their vendors. She does, she'll go for them. But Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, but she was really good. I mean,
Yeah, she was really good. I mean, I have to go through the same experience with the high school, believe it or not.
Right.
And a lot of the high schools are doing that now. Basically, to sum it up, it was kind of two or threefold. On one hand, she was very much trying to encourage positiveness towards, trying to show coaches that you get more out of sugar than you do vinegar type of thing. The more positive you are with kids, the more you're going to get out of it. And then it was all, and then on the second fold was where she was talking about the realism of playing in college, that, to be honest with you, it was very slim to some degree.
She really brought that forward. I mean, that
right, to have.
Wasn't she at the last AGM?
Yes, she was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
And so
Great
you should
story.
have realistic viewpoints on, getting to parents saying, hey, one out of, 300 or 3,000 or whatever kids are going to play at a Division I level, blah, blah, blah. Let's be realistic, and showing them the stats that would help them to understand.
Well, she also pointed out that you don't play for 40. I mean, all of those things.
Right.
So,
But on the flip side of it, she also, the third tier, I think, is that if they were going to really want to play soccer, what she could do to help them get a connection towards that, even if it was D2, D3.
Right, but that's not what she gave me. She said right now she will give us she will give anybody 3 of these lectures for the price of 1. Now,
right. But those are the main topics of how she was.
But she's got a whole list of topics on the back of this, Steve. One of it is building self-confidence and dealing with adversity. But the other one that I thought was more what we would like is understanding the recruiting process, and it is for high school age student athletes and families.
Right.
And to me, that would be the lecture that we would want to hire her for 4 or 5 of these.
College night, bring her in. This is what the recruiting process is. This is the realism of it.
And specify.
And what you can do.
Yes. Right. And also get her, we'll guide her and tell her, here's some of the things that we are experiencing.
Right. And we have it.
Speak to that. She'll give us 3 lectures for the price of 1. And what I want is some approval to start getting a lining her up for like a September, October meetings. We can do it in 3 places or 4 places. We know in Pinellas, we can do it at that Piper Fire thing that they utilize there, and it's a pretty good facility. We're going to have to figure out how many people we can fit and make sure we can get enough to get to these.
Well, I think we can find the locations. What was the?
Well, I know out by Allen and those guys. I'm figuring use the FYSA
the building.
The building
where
right?
we were.
Yes.
In Auburndale.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's Auburndale, and then the third one would be technically Hillsborough County. The fourth.
Perfect.
The fourth. So we'll say, can you do what are you going to do for? We'll do down in Braden River by Mark or south somewhere, Mark.
Right.
And I don't know what the goal is. Start thinking about the numbers. In other words, you can't have probably more than 200 because you can't get a room that'll fit that. And what's the minimum that it's worth her time, worth our money, basically, to have people show up? 50?
Why can't we do it in this format?
I'll ask.
You can. How many? This is unlimited, Greg, as far as the amount.
I can get over 200 on here.
You can.
Yep. Keep in mind the other thing with our college showcase, I'm going to be asking a couple of the coaches to talk about just this issue.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, a coach talking about it's good. I think that's wonderful. She has been a coach. It's her. She's credible, but she's an excellent speaker. I mean, she's excellent at it. Her presence is good. So, I mean, she's going to impress anybody that's talking to her is impressed that she is able to stay on topic. She can keep the topic going. And what we're trying to say to kids is the nonsense that you're being told now by everybody is that nonsense. I think Kai, Alan, Greg, we all talk about the same thing. There are on the thing that Kai sent us. I don't know if anybody took that. We need to put that on our site because it has a list on that of hundreds and hundreds of schools that are listed as 4-year programs. Now, she was telling me she picked up the same piece of information, but just the top page of what Kai had. So that she said, look, some of that information is not up to date. You have to be careful there. Okay, I got it. But the fact is that there's a lot of places to play college soccer, and you've got to start, if you really want to play, you got to start right now. I know Mike, you had a meeting with a bunch of parents last year, and coming out of it, you said they won't even listen to reason that when you said, hey, you need to look around, you said they just would not accept the fact that their kids were not going to go to the UNC and Duke.
That's the biggest challenge is to get parents and players to realize that not everything is D1, right? That you
A majority, 99% of it's not.
yeah, but they
also,
don't. But they don't. We know that.
Right.
They don't want to hear that.
Right.
That I thought was the most interesting part of what you were telling me, Mike, is they were resistant. Didn't you tell me you told them that and they just couldn't? They were like, well, I don't know about you, but my kid is gonna, right? I mean, it was a non-acceptance of your credibility, which is insane to me. But I mean, that's amazing.
Well, they may play Division I, but they're going to pay to go to school. That's the big
That's
difference.
what's going to end up happening. But I think this chick, this girl is good. I mean, she
was real good. I saw her last year, yeah.
And if we keep her on topic, on this topic,
Yes.
I think she brings tremendous, not that Mike is incredible. Mike's more credible than she is, actually.
No,
But
but
she has,
But she's
Yeah,
independent. She's not
she's
tied to any club or anything like that.
outside. She's coached at a Division I, Division II. She's done all of this stuff, so she's comfortable in front of people. And she brings a bang. She brings, or can bring, I think, our idea to somebody without us being the assholes. Because the thing I get, and I was talking to her about it, what we get chipped with all the time is that by telling them this thing, us being USA, community soccer guys, whatever we want to call ourselves, are being non-aspirational. And the guy told me, my child aspires to much higher things than you're willing to go there. There's a ladder there. Paul. You're not allowing that ladder. Now, all of us know that's absolutely nonsense. But it is an effective counter to the practical aspects of what Mike's saying and what Steve knows, what we all know. This girl is an outsider, an expert, a girl that has tremendous credentials in the outside community, who will tell them virtually the same thing and try to give them a positive path to that also. So I want to get approval. I want to start. She said we got to do something with her by the end of the month, at least get a tentative contract.
What was
I'd like to try and get
fee
it
again,
for-
Paul? What was her fee?
What do you think?
What was her fee again, Paul?
I think it was it 1,200?
1,200.
Totally.
She was
But she'll do 3 for 1,200.
$14.97.
1497. Thanks, Liz.
Yeah, but she'll do 3 of them for 14.
For 3, and I'd say, look, give me a number for 4. Well, because we've got 4 areas.
It's called 1,800.
If you do 4, she'll throw the 5th one in for free.
And you get a travel bag with it too, with your signature.
Well, if everybody's on board, look, we've been
where is she out of?
who knows?
No,
Well,
she-
No, that's great. We don't even know where she's from.
Well, yeah, but
Let's just put her out there. Let's say, hey.
because it may be,
Hey,
maybe
let me
travel
give you the thing.
expense.
I'll get it on the site though, Mike. But it's
Hey, no. She didn't say anything about traveling expenses. That includes her traveling expenses.
Put her online.
You
Put her
gotta pay
online.
her by the mile. And,
Listen, I tell you though, I mean, with something like this is good. What we should target also
she said
is
if travel is further than 2 hours away,
2 hours.
I'm gonna get some water.
It's the 1497 that's getting to him.
All right. Well,
For a thousand, I'll get online and tell the parents, look, you don't have no chance at all.
I'll do it for 500, to be honest with you. And for 1,000, I'll do 2 or 3.
Hey, I've done it for free and they still don't bloody listen.
Good point.
At the end of the day, they want to be lied to. So
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
that's it, Guy. They don't want to hear the truth.
Yeah.
No, and if you don't,
In fact, if you charge them for it,
right?
if you
Then-
charge them for it, they'll listen. But if we give
I don't know. They might just walk out of there really pissed.
we give
If they
this information to them, they're like, yeah, shit, that's the crap.
Right. If they don't
Well,
have
here's
to
the
pay
difference.
for it, they don't think it's worth it.
Here's the difference. Here's the difference, and I will speak on her front of it. Is that she will tell these parents the realism of the first division aspect of things, but she will then give them sources and be a source for them to to be able to look for Division 2 and Division 3 schools. Not that, Mike, you couldn't do the same thing, or I could do the same thing, but she'll be a little more independent person to say, okay, no, I'm not going to go to North Carolina, or I'm not going to go to UF. But the bottom line is, I could go to a D2. I could definitely do a D3, but what schools would be good, and then she could advise them on that. So it's a twofold.
I think she'd be great. I think she's
Yes. Yeah.
And simply because it's independent from any club, any league.
Yes.
Anything.
Yes.
Now we know of at the moment.
Well, I
We
mean,
know at the moment.
What you don't know is that Charlie Schlegel's got her on the payroll.
Right.
Probably.
TBU sticker on her car. I think.
Right.
she
Go to
should-
TBU and you'll get drafted.
she
There you
should
go.
be,
But here's what you think.
Wouldn't that be
This price is valid for booking seminars for fall by Saturday the 29th. We know that's nonsense, but price does not include travel. If travel is further than 2 hours from Lakeland.
further than. Oh, so she's from
Jesus.
Lakeland.
Well,
Hey, we get no expense then. We're in.
Under
We're
2
in.
hours, you must reimburse gas at 50 cents a mile.
Jesus Christ.
That's no problem. Going to Auburndale isn't going to cost much. Going anywhere is not going to cost us much.
except over the bridge.
Hey, stop the
Hey.
bridge, Doc.
That damn bridge.
But I think
Charge each
the
club.
idea is to look for 4 spots: South, Pinellas,
Yes.
Hillsborough, Lakeland.
Yes. Auburndale. Do it
Yeah,
Auburndale.
well, that's what I'm saying. Lakeland area where you got 4.
Yeah.
What's our cap? 1,800, 2,000 at the most if we have to pay travel.
I'll come back with that before I do it. I just got to get in touch with her and say, hey, we're interested. Let's do this thing.
Well, then, and
Only
then,
need 4 of them, so I need a price for 4, not 3.
okay, and then send it out online and we'll vote.
Correct.
Yes. Yes.
But I think this is the first. This girl was really effective. She's an outsider. She's got tremendous credibility, at least in what she's written a book. She's part of this positive coaching coalition.
Well, that's where
She's
she
got a lot
comes.
of great outside credentials, and she's singing the same song we are.
Yeah.
In fact, she had a thing, Mike, YouTube, and we got some stuff from there. We need to get online on our site because you can click to it. One of them was fantastic. It was a YouTube, Mike, and it said, well, I'm going to go to Duke in North Carolina. And the other person said, you're crazy. You're stupid.
Yeah,
I
you're,
said,
you're
well, I can
stupid.
do this. He said, you're even dumber. I said, my parents said I can. I said, well, they're stupid too. And it was like a cartoon. It was incredible. I mean, it was our stuff exactly. It was right up our alley as far as the ridiculousness of what's been shoved down kids' throats instead of enjoying the game and the whole.
Well, see, the problem though is.
we should retain her as a representative of the
Oh, well, that's what I'm just gonna say. Yeah.
Well,
Put her on a retainer.
let's see how she does here first. I mean, Steve and I did notice some other things about her too that were good. So, it's not,
Well,
Right.
I don't have any comment on that.
but
Can we
she's very effective.
can we expense that, Paul?
In what way?
Well, if the looking,
No, but I mean, she is really credible. She played. She's.
well, let's get on board.
All right, so we'll put it out to a vote once you get a
Done.
final price. Paul.
done.
all
Done.
right. I just want permission to go.
Yeah,
Start.
go
Yes.
forward.
Yes.
She will be at the FYSA AGM also.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Good.
that's true. Then you'll be able to experience that aspect of it. If you didn't,
Well, we got to line up something with her before that because a little deal.
She's on the agenda again for the AGM.
Oh,
I don't know.
That's
I didn't see her
I
name.
wouldn't be surprised if she's not, but I don't know.
Well, I didn't see her name on there. Maybe I didn't look good enough.
Well, I've got a whole lot of stuff, but hey, and anybody wants to see it, what is it? Let me give you the website. She's got a website, so that should tell you most everything, It's rlopezcoaching.com. rlopez, Lopez coaching.com. Chicago, she said. www.rlopez.com.
So
rlopez.
She has another one that is looking for a fullride.com.
Yes, I think that's more specific, and that's Juan, I'm going to get these looking for full ride and the other one on our website. We're going to have a portion of our website, and I'll do it next week, that directs people to these different sites to get self-educated. You know? She gave us a YouTube site and where this thing was on. This funny thing was on it. So.
I recall her from last year. She had a partner last year.
Yes, Mike, you and I were in the meeting.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Yep.
She said the other one is devzone.com and soccerparenting.com. So
Those were the recommendations of places where you can get good articles and stuff.
Right.
We need to get that to our website in a place that everybody understands that's our resource. It's like a bibliography. So every month we've got stuff. Here's some more great stuff on training. And everybody can go to the site, get the link, and bam, just like Kai's been doing with us, getting all this stuff this real interesting stuff. And that's.
We need to make a mental note that these are the things we need to discuss at these coaches meetings as well, especially the senior ones, you know.
By then we should have the stuff on the site too.
But we can make sure we remember to mention it, you know.
Yes, absolutely.
Make a mental note.
I just reset it and it's still not working.
Paul, I'm sorry. The very first site that you said, I didn't catch what you said.
It's www.rlopez,
So
all lowercase.com.
Okay, thank you.
But then there's this there's more of them, Sherry. And what I'd like to do is get a thinkable format there. I don't know what you can call it, but whatever it is, it's right there and it says here. And we keep adding these links. The one that Kai had was fantastic. And so that link goes on there. These links go on there. And every time now we find self-education, we get it right on there so people can just open it up and
Right. Yeah, we can make a page, no problem.
Yeah.
College Recruiting 101.
Yeah, and not only, we see, right, we got articles somewhere on a guy from California was paying $25,000 or $30,000 a year. They had second jobs and were driving these kids all over to play soccer. You know? Things like that are absurd, and we're trying to point out, you know, this ain't going anywhere for all of that effort, you know.
Okay.
All right. Anything else, Paul? I don't think there was really anything else.
New business. We're still in new business.
Yeah, that's her and the referee thing and that and this extension of the roster size, which you don't know.
Right. As far as new business, so we have it on the books. College Showcase in February. We'll have a date by the AGM.
All right.
17 boys and girls.
All right.
You 17 boys and girls will have a college showcase.
Is that Kai? Is that
you 17?
Is that the same? Is that the same group of coaches that you identified, or close to that, Kai?
It would be. I don't know. I've been kind of out of the loop.
Yeah, it is. It is. I read everything. I read everything Kai had there, and that's exactly what we're looking to do.
Have you got all those contacts?
I've got the schools. I don't have all the contacts yet.
All right. Well, you get them from Kai before you do it, so we cover ourselves.
Right, but as I said, I just want to put it on the books there that we'll have it in.
Kai's got some. Kai and Mike, and I don't know who else. Have connections too. They can draw in.
Well, what we plan on doing is two things. One, we're going to identify certainly every Division II and III school in the state and send out invites, and the Division I schools, but I don't think we'll get much of a hit from them. And
but when I go back over there,
we'll have the kids may have aspirations to play in Alabama or Arkansas, and they'll be able to tell that coach that he can come on down and watch them play at the showcase. So,
are you going to pay these guys to come down?
We'll probably have to put a couple of them up. Yeah.
Yeah, at least pay their expenses.
So we got a budget for that at all, or no?
I'll set one up for you.
Yeah, well, yeah, we need to do that before we figure out the event, because if it's $20,000, people.
No,
No,
we're looking nothing more than 10 or 12.
Charlie, I reset it and I can see it.
10 or 12.
Nothing more than 10 or 12, and less than that if possible. Division 2 and 3, there's a ton of Division 2 and 3 coaches around here.
we'll come up with the budget before you start setting that up, so we all
Yeah.
can
Understood.
take a look at it.
Understood.
Are the players going to be charged to compete?
No.
So this is all the leagues. Funding.
No, this is USA 17 and under. There'll be 48 boys and 48 girls.
Where?
Good question. We haven't figured that out yet. It's going to be a play turf field, though, whether it be at Eckerd College, Wesley Chapel, or St. Leo's.
Fine.
I just have one question. Are we in the executive meeting or are we still?
No, but let's get to that.
We don't even know her.
Let's adjourn.
Yeah, let's adjourn and re-adjourn so that we could. 'cause
Well, we'll
the
adjourn
new
the regular
business, and I
meeting.
don't know where that falls.
And we've got well, we've also got, that's just for the new business part, in the open session. Let's adjourn the meeting, go to the executive committee, and we need to discuss a couple things privately, the personnel and stuff. So Greg, if you can limit it to the board right now, then
Well, let's make a motion to adjourn the open meeting.
Motion.
Okay.
got a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to go to the executive committee, but we're going to limit that to the current board members, because they're going to be a
Which
couple.
I think it's not many more than what's already on, but okay.
Yeah, okay. All right, let's just, can you do that, Greg? No sound, Greg, no sound.
Yeah, Greg just muted his thing for whatever reason.
Yeah, I was coughing my brains out. Sorry, I had him.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I had him.
I almost died here too, but
Let's manage.
held the granola bar.
All right, let's hold on. Let's see who's all here. I think everybody dropped, Paul. Hold on.
All right.
Well, it's bad weather, yeah. So we are losing connection sometimes.
No, we lost. The only person that was left was Les, and he's on.
Let's go. We approve the minutes. Let's get past that. Everybody okay with the minutes from last month? Yes.
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 Yeah, I second.
Protest,
Aye.
hearing, old business, new business. We're going to need to get at least one. We don't need to, but we now have Kai filling in for the moment for Brian. We should add another board member, and there were reasons why, like the 4 or 5 guys appealed to us. And Mike, I was not able to find Jessica. She was not at the AGM meeting.
Okay.
From Plant City. Need to at least get to the guy from Wesley Chapel. The third one, Les has.
Yeah, Alton is not interested.
Okay, so Alton it was Alton that was the one that you were thinking of from Wesley Chapel.
Yeah.
Okay.
How about Joe Quadracki from Oldsmar?
Well, that's the one. And the
That's
reason
the one we
because
were
Joe
talking
came up to us a couple of years ago. Now, Steve, in my mind's eye, I think by the time next AGM comes around for us, I think it's a good time for Steve to take over, to take my job. Not in so he takes over and then has a year before he's got to go through a election. And I'll switch to something else. I can take there is a seat for the ex-president, or I can take another position. It doesn't matter. But when that happens, we're going to lose. Not lose, but we're going to lose. He's going to move from the girls thing, which he's done a great job, and he really has it. He really knows it up and down. He suggested Joe because Joe's been involved in that section, and he would be in Steve's opinion, would be a good guy to groom for that VP of girls job.
Well, he's also he's offered to help. Even without a position, he's offered to help out with the girls, during meetings, and he did last year. And I'm sure he'll do it again this year regardless. So,
And so 3 or 4 other people. There's a guy from Dunedin I want to keep an eye on. He seems like he's in for another year. I'm not 100% comfortable with some of the guys he's got up there. I don't know about anybody else. The one guy's a pain in the ass, and that's the referee assigner up there, correct?
Dimitri?
Demetrius.
Yeah.
He's a real jerk. And then the head coach is kind of strange. This guy's been bumping around for years, and he's always got another idea how to make money.
The DOC.
Yeah.
Yeah, the DOC is a joke.
We don't have to use the name.
So anyway, yeah. So that's the only reason I would hold back with the guy. The guy has now been the registrar. He understands it. He's in the middle of it. It looks like that program's growing again and has got some sound footing. And this guy's knowledgeable. I mean, he now has taken the time to learn the registrar thing, how to build the club and everything else. So he's a guy, but I think it's just too soon. And I'd like to get Les on too, but we got Alan from out there. That's why I'm still interested in the Plant City girl. Not that we have a limit out there, Alan, but I think Les would be good, but 2 guys from the same. You can't have too many guys from Polk County. I mean, it's just,
No.
Paul.
Oh man.
Greg.
No, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
We need to spread the base out. I think one of the
Yes.
things about having, we've got Steve's at West Pasco, Mark's at Braden River. We got all these guys, Kai's somewhere. I mean, I don't know where he's got to.
Kai's going to be at FYSA.
FYSA.
But they were guys. That's what we're hoping for.
Kai's going to be our link to FYSA.
But I think we bring these clubs closer and getting good guys on the board that are from these clubs so they know what's going on and that pulls them in closer to our decision making because they're the guys that really need to be doing that. So I think that Joe Oldsmar is in the Mondo club, but he's from another club, and he's I think at least according to Steve and Kai, capable, good guy.
Yeah, he's a good
thinks
guy.
like us. So
yeah.
And I think we groom him for that for Steve's position, and then then go from there. We can add another open. Open board seat like Merritt. It's just he's just on the board. He doesn't have a position.
Member at large.
Yeah, at large. I'd like to try and get someone either from Plant City or Wesley Chapel if we can find a suitable person because they're clubs that need to be close and they're growing clubs. They're good clubs, and the big guys, the businesses are not going to allow them in. The only way they get a hold of those guys is by taking them over. So Plant City is a link between Allen and Hillsborough County. So we start to fill in that area. Wesley Chapel gives us that a little bit up north. So one or both of them. I don't want to dilute the board. My sense is right now this board is working as good as it can. I mean, it's really solid guys, solid decision making, quick. No one's a pain in the ass, so it's really good. I don't want to bring in 8 people and dilute it or try to bring in 8 people and have it have discord or have all, crazy things going on. The guys we got on here are really knowledgeable. So I don't want to bring somebody on that's too new either. And that would be Les's thing. And this guy from Dunedin's negative is they haven't been around that long. And they really, sometimes you get ideas from them that we've gone over 18 years ago. And if every time a guy brings an idea up, you say, nah, we already thought of that, it's stupid. It discourages them. We're more used to what we've all, we're all been around a long time.
Well, you look at the combined years of this whole board.
Oh
my gosh. I mean,
Well,
mine's 25, Mike, you've been in it.
Wow.
It's all the
you guys.
positions they play
All you guys.
also. I mean, we've got a bunch of coaches. We've got a bunch of guys that coach still, coach high school, coach. We got guys that were registrars. We got guys that are presidents, treasurers. So, I mean, it's really
Guys that are all
and not only that, I mean, the administrators are the same way. Sherry's got Ungot's amount of experience. So does
Greg. Been around.
And so you don't want to just throw people into this thing because it's really working as good as it probably can from my standpoint. So, but
Well,
if
as
we're
much
adding
as-
one or two at a time, we need to do that too, you know?
Yeah. As
So I
much
think
as
this
is
Joe
the vote.
Kudraki, what my thing is, can we nominate him tonight and then approach him and see if he'll take the board position?
Or for what position at this point? For the treasurer's position?
No, we'll leave Kai there for the moment. My
Oh,
idea
good
is-
job, guys.
Yeah, just for the moment.
What's that job?
Kai, if Kai
That
will,
moment's over.
if Kai will run and be successful, he's going to have to resign from our board.
Yeah, Kai, we're fixing to get audited, so you're the treasurer.
Yeah, but I mean, we'll have to push somebody else in.
Yeah, but what position is available right now for Joe?
Right now, we got a member at large position.
Just
Oh,
move him
okay,
at
then-
large.
Then nominate him for a
Now,
member.
he's
at large.
helping you. He's helping you. And
Right.
then when you move, Steve, he moves into that. You move here, and then I can even go back to treasurer, or I can go to the other thing, or I can.
Okay,
I might be
Yeah.
dead by then, so you know. So,
so let's see if we can get him on the board.
but that's why I wanted to discuss it. There were 3 or 4 other guys I kind of got my eye on. 2 of them less a good guy.
Yes.
A little more seasoning, and then the same thing with this guy from the team. I'd like to keep an eye on him. 'Cause
See,
right now it's a little sketchy, but he's involved and he's smart. I mean, he understands the whole system now. So, and then
well, I tell you, on the Les issue, hopefully Les is not on. He's not
No,
on.
he's
is he?
not on.
no, that's
okay.
why I'm doing this way.
Okay. Well, the thing with Les is he's a great guy, but but you know he's president. He's got teams and blah blah blah. I think you need somebody that's not
As active.
exact because there's
Directly
agendas
active.
and they're-
Directly active.
Yeah, I think personally, you can't be in charge of a whole club. You got your own stuff.
Yeah.
But but don't you think in 2 or 3 years, Les is the kind of guy to bring along, Alan? That's
Yes,
because
if he does the right thing.
we
You
need
know-
guys from out there. I mean, since you've
Yes.
been on, things have improved out there tremendously.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's you.
Yeah,
Well,
it's a lot better since I've been gone.
No, we know a lot more about. We know the guys from Auburndale. We know the guys from North Lake.
Oh, it's
we know
a
the guys from
battle. It's a
Bartow now. We know the guys from Lake Wales now. We know
Yes.
who they are because somebody's out there that knows.
Yes, no, yes, you're right. I think in a couple of years he'll be good. Les will be good. He needs a couple more years.
Yeah, and I don't want to insult.
Well, here's another thing too. You have to look at these people, and it's like, all right, how many? Like someone like Les. How many of these people are attending our meetings?
Right.
I mean, online. Okay, no, Joe.
No,
hasn't,
that's true. That's
Joe
true.
hasn't really attended our meetings, but it would be, it wouldn't be a bad idea. Now he has no purpose to attend our meetings at this point. But if you're
Well,
interested in
He's
being
not a club
Right.
official. Oldsmar should have somebody at that.
Somebody from
yeah,
Oldsmar.
but,
Right.
but it's not necessarily
Right.
Joe's job to
That's correct.
be on. So.
But now I'm relying on you guys. He talked to me 2 years ago at the meetings, and I thought, well, great. I took his name and I forgot about it.
Well, he.
You're quick on following up.
I'll be honest with you. I mean,
There wasn't any
2
purpose
years.
in it.
Yeah.
I was waiting for someone to get in an auto accident.
nice.
Oh, everybody's
I
been
wouldn't mind
driving
bringing
through
him on, but I also want to make sure, he understands how USA works. I mean,
Right.
regardless
So
of
do
what
you
I
think?
can
What do
say,
you think, Steve?
all I know about him is I dealt with him with a few tournaments. He's, at times, is kind of like, this isn't fair type thing, but all coaches are always like that at one point. But to the most part, he's been very workable. He's always been very personable. Last year when he helped me, he was knowledgeable.
Well, you want to hold off a year and have him work this show until you're ready to retire.
Well, no, I don't. You can bring up. Well, here's the thing: you can bring him on, but I'm
We
just
need
saying.
somebody in the girls. We need someone who is in the middle of the girls' program.
I would think he'd be more willing to help me if he at least knew how things were going to work. I don't know if we want to reveal that, you're going to step down, I'm going to take over.
No.
Jump in.
But if you said, geez, you get to say, you're going to need to get to some of these meetings.
So that's what I'm saying. I think he should be on a couple of meetings so we can make him, a member at large and tell him his role is going to be to work with me with the girls and attend some meetings because my position will be up at the end of this year. The
Give
girls,
him a 90-day contract and say we can get rid of him at the end of 90 days.
I
Yeah.
don't know the guy. Kai, do you know him?
I do know him because he was at Oldsmar when I was at DOC there and was coaching. And he is now the DOC, I believe. He's still a DOC now. And he's a nice guy.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's a nice guy.
Is he a reasonable guy?
He seems to be.
I think so. I mean, I've never had any issues with him.
Well, we can stand one nut on the board. You know that. That's not a problem. We don't want three.
I think if you bring him on a member at large, I mean,
Yeah.
no harm. I mean,
Yeah.
Well, I'll talk to him by the AGM. We'll try and decide if we want to do that. That's why I was.
Okay, let's be clear here. Are we talking our AGM or?
FYSA.
Ours is gone.
All right, so let me back up a little bit again. Are you talking about you, Paul, stepping down at the August AGM?
No.
Our
Our AGM. What
Okay.
I'm thinking is right before then, when things calm down. That's my idea now. Is that you think about then taking over. I'll drop because I won't.
Yeah, okay. No, I just wanted to get
that
dates
position.
down.
Have another year. You won't be a guy stepping in that's going for election. You'll be in there.
No.
Year to really.
But
get
at that point, my position will be up, so he would have to run
That's correct. That's
for VP. Not that he wouldn't be
correct.
the only one anyway, but
That's why I'm saying you need to bring somebody on in that time as it's streaming forward that's capable of stepping in there and to make some sense.
I think if you're talking to him, Paul, or if I'm talking to him, or whoever's talking to him, I think we should leave that member at large as a person that is going to be learning ourselves. We bring him in on a member at large.
Well, don't forget, I mean, we can have 8 member at larges if we want.
Yeah, help him to understand that before he I think it's good for anybody that's going to run for any position.
Right.
That they're part of our organization.
The at-large members are a year. I mean, it's 1 year and that's it.
Right. So let's go ahead and bring him on as a member at large then. And
Right.
while we're at it, I'll petition for Mario Martinez to make a comeback.
Oh, geez.
Really?
Oh, my God.
As a member at large?
I love Mario. I love him.
Oh,
But if you think I'm bad, man, these things that last all night.
That's what I know.
okay. Paul, I want to let all the board members know here that your presence will be wanted at the FYSA AGM at 6:30 p.m. Saturday night.
Yeah, that's right. We have a room, and we need to get that information out to everybody. And maybe we get the FYSA gave us a room at the Marriott for USA meeting Saturday. Now everyone's going to be able to, but we'll have it open, and I'm hoping that Greg and Kai.
Is anybody going to show up to this at 6:30? I'm just asking.
I know
Right
it's
at their time?
not a good time. I understand that, but if you make it an hour, everyone can make an 8 o'clock date to go out and eat. Secondly, Kai, you and Greg, even more importantly, if you can get the guys, I would use the room for that first.
For what now?
Those other 3 leagues, and say, hey, we got a room for an hour right at 6:30.
Yeah, they have FYSA
The
has
only
a
time we
room.
can do it, Kai. It's the only time we got.
They have
I
the
know,
room.
but I'm saying, they've been going all day. I mean, at 6:30, most people are out.
I got it. That's when our regional does a thing right after. Now maybe we can push it to 4:30, Greg.
No rooms
Why?
available.
Okay.
Well, if no one shows up, we just move on. But,
all
All right. We're not paying for the room, right?
No, we're not paying for the room.
that's why the 6:30 time slot.
But
Well, that's what I'm saying.
That
Yeah.
would also be a good time to just sit down with those guys for an hour also, if not a lunch.
How many of those guys are we talking about?
There's 3 of them. There's
Okay,
a
so that can be a
Florida,
dinner. That can be a lunch
yeah,
meeting.
North Florida, Greater Central Florida, and the guy from Brevard. Merritt and I'm trying to think of who else sat down with them right outside of a meeting for about 40 minutes, and it was
Oh, it was Mike,
really
wasn't it?
productive. I mean,
Yeah, I wasn't
we're
there, no.
talking
Oh, that
about
wasn't
the
you?
same stuff
Okay.
they have, and And plus, if we got guys running, that's the time, we need to sit down and tell them, hey, now Saturday, you see the luncheon, that's FYSA's luncheon, Kai. So you're really, and I'm not going to go to it, probably.
Nope.
Well, we got tickets. Everybody's got a ticket to go.
Yeah, that's good. I mean,
I'm scalping
it comes
mine.
with the package.
Yeah. Couldn't give them away.
I'm not going to eat.
Mike Strickler is going to get
I'm
the
not
Man
gonna
of the
eat
Year award.
overcooked pollock and watch you guys some TV. You get more money. I can't. Yeah.
Wait, do they feed you first, or do they have the meeting? They feed you.
No, they
First.
feed
They
you.
feed you. They feed you first.
The
Oh,
food
well, then
is
I might
always
go eat
fun.
and leave.
You go eat, then you leave.
Yeah.
Now, is the guest speaker the DOC of Georgia again?
No.
That's what I'm saying. Why don't you slap us in the face before we come in? And,
Does anybody remember who the guest speaker
We're not
was
somebody
last
from
year?
another state tell you how things should be because your guys don't know.
Anybody remember the guest speaker from last year?
No.
Brianna Scurry. Brianna Scurry was the guest speaker.
Okay, good. Wonderful girl.
Apparently so. Apparently so. She likes a free meal. She loves it.
Yeah, but you can see that.
Yeah. But Sherry, can you put that on the website that the August USA meeting will be at the AGM at 6:30 p.m.
Well, we can't have a meeting then, Greg. You won't have a quorum.
I think you'd also want to publicize that there is no free food at this event at 6:30 because
All right.
people
We
might
got a
show
meeting room. We got a
Cocktails, cocktails.
together.
What's that, Paul?
You can't. It's not going to be an official meeting. We were having a
Why?
because we can't. You're going to have to broadcast it, and that will tie us up for 2 hours. And not everybody. We probably won't even have a quorum.
Well, we don't. We can broadcast. We can broadcast it. We just stick to the
But
topics.
but Greg, everyone's going to be there. In other words, if 5 guys aren't going to show up for it, they're not going to be at the broadcast either because they're going to be out eating.
Or drinking.
All right, whatever. I'll just tell them. I'll just tell them to take it off the list then.
No, leave the room. The room's good. If we can use the room, I like everybody we can get in there.
Are we having it at
Now
6:30
you're
or
gonna be
not?
confused. We having it or we not having it?
We don't need that. What I'm saying is we don't have to have a monthly meeting because we probably won't have a quorum.
No, why are we having it? I'm just
I was just gonna say.
No, I just want to have a USA like a breakout meeting. That's what I think.
okay.
You may not have the
But if we don't publicize it, nobody will show.
We will publicize it. We're going to have a breakout meeting.
I thought you weren't.
Hey, why don't we just tell people we had it? We just broadcast it.
No,
We had
that's,
it.
the other thing is, if we're going to run, if anybody's going to run, Greg, that's the time to get everyone together and tell them what we're doing also. And get the votes, right?
Oh, it's just a social meeting, right?
Yes.
It's
But
just a
without-
social meeting.
It's not necessarily a business, not a business meeting. It's a social, it's a social, it's to get together and say, hey, what's happening, blah, 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 blah. It's a shitty time, but if that's the only reason, keep it. What's the difference?
Bring your
It's not
coolers.
costing us anything. If no one shows, it's good. They're not going to show because they don't come even online. I mean, they didn't show up tonight, right?
Right.
It's
Well,
the only
tonight's
important
probably
thing.
the worst, attendance-wise we've ever had.
Yeah, it's the board meeting. It's the board members, and you're not. I would doubt we get a quorum.
But you got to remember it's summer too. It's July. It's not like people are thinking about soccer.
It's August. Oh, now. Yeah, but you're saying,
Yeah.
look, but Kai, we're not going to have 40 guys show up at that thing, no matter what.
So we're gonna have 4 guys. So
Probably
for
not.
Does that include the board members, the 4 guys?
Yes,
I
yes.
like the idea, but
Well, I'm going to get roped. I'm going to get roped into being there, no doubt about it. But I mean, but I think we start trying to get guys. That's a good time to get them and have some time together, even if it's 20 minutes or an hour to say, hey,
well, then don't say it's at 6:30. Yeah, well, 6:30, but say 6:30.
6:30 is any time we can get.
We'll say 6:30 to 7. Tell them it's only a 30-minute thing.
Yeah.
Open for just an open discussion.
Yeah. Well, that's Dave. Dave does the same thing with our region, right? We have a meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but he also
yes.
serves refreshments, doesn't he?
Well, it's at 4:30. That's the other thing. It's right at the end of the meetings.
And if people would want to rush out to sit in our meeting after they sat through Dave's meeting.
No, I get it.
You got to bring the wives into this a little bit, you know. 'cause
Oh, jeez.
they're going to be like, "What time are you done today? What time are you done today?"
Well, we cannot get the room. It's you know.
No,
it's
I get that. What we're saying is it necessary?
Nah, no. I was just hoping somebody we could get. It's a good time to get everyone together.
Well, I mean,
The
could
problem
you,
is the time. And when I look at the time, I don't see any good time to do it.
Yeah.
No, there isn't.
The lunch is no good. Afterwards, no good. We only get till Sunday, right? You're not going to do it after the Sunday meeting. Everybody's piling in cars and getting going.
how many of our members know who is sitting on the board of the USA board?
I would say 12.
So this is an opportunity for the USA members to meet their board.
Well, that's what I was going to
Yes.
say that too, Mike. I
Yes.
was going to say meet and greet your USA board. You know, I mean, so I put it on for a 30-minute meeting for meet and greet. If it goes over, it goes over. But if people know it's only going to be a half-hour thing, meet and greet, then at least they might come for 15, 20 minutes. Like,
Yeah, good.
So put it on from 6:30 to 7 or 7:15.
That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, that way it's just
Well, the worst that'll happen is no one will show up, and then we're back to where we are now.
Yeah,
We
but
can
it
give
doesn't matter if we
then we
position-
leave. We're not
meet-
paying anything.
meet the USA board, and and maybe an opportunity for some president that's at the meeting to come in and give us.
Questions.
The only thing I keep thinking, Mike, is that some guy's going to come in with one of those hoods over their faces. Is the whole board here? Good.
That's why I'm going to come late.
Yeah, comes in with
We'll
an
stagger,
AR-15.
we'll stagger the members.
Exactly.
Well, we'll have some guys play like they're Kai, We'll have another player,
Yeah.
a guy like me. Some old guy will throw in there, say you didn't kill them all because they weren't there.
We'll pick
Like the president,
we'll pick a ball-headed guy out of the crowd there and then pass it on.
you killed the wrong bald-headed guy.
Yeah.
I mean, you could put yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a
Just call it a meet and greet then, Sherry.
Yeah,
Meet and
sounds
greet.
great.
If you wanted to put a topic on there, that U8, the U8, new
Oh,
U8.
jeez.
Oh, shit, no, fucking hell.
Oh, really?
We'll all be
It's gotta be
drinking
8:30
after
again.
that.
Maybe you should bring beer and then people will come,
Well, that's the thing.
right?
There's two things that motivate people, or three things, and
I
that's
guess you can't get it. Wouldn't be expensive.
one is money, two is food, and three is alcohol. I mean,
But right now, just like the T-shirts, there will be splitting the beer up trying to get it back to our room because no one drank it. And Sherry, you know what it'd be like? Remember the times you used to buy 17 pizzas for the meetings? And I'd see at the end of the meeting, someone would be leaving with like 7 of them. Frank could have 4 of them, and
Yes, you're right.
that's what we'll look like. With the beer.
all right, so
We'll
put it
have
as a
all
30-minute meet and greet, and we'll worst case scenario, we leave after 15, 20 minutes.
One
And
last
if not, if it does work, then we know it.
Yeah, and we keep doing it. Hey, this girl Jessica from the girl from Plant City. Does anybody know her?
I've spoken with her
I
several
know her
times.
name. I think I've spoken with her before, but I don't know.
Is she there for the duration? I mean, is she in for the duration? Has she been involved for a while, Sharon?
I'd say for at least a few years. I recall her being pretty involved.
We see, is there anybody that up along the west coast, northwest coast,
Well,
Nature Coast, Hudson, Fernando?
Yeah, but there's no teams up. There's no kids up there. That's the one problem.
First Fernando, Phil Bennett.
Yeah, Phil be fine. It just, I mean, Phil's in, or they're not doing anything. You're trying to keep guys in the middle of this thing involved. More, I think. We can't spread it out too much because you can't get anything. I mean, look, it's hard enough to get stuff done just with me here. You add another 5 people, we'll never get anything done at these meetings. So it's, but Phil would be good. I just think Plant City and Wesley Chapel are two large clubs, which Phil is,
Yes.
that are in the middle of our playing coalition, that could use to tune into this thing to see all the stuff we're doing, like the college night and the referee stuff and things like that. That would be on the inside. I just, not to use Alan again, but I mean, since Alan's been on the board, our abilities out in the eastern part of the
East.
thing have tripled, because he knew everybody, so we get
Yes.
to know everybody. So now we know all the guys out there. We're way better off with discussing problems and everything else, and it's only because we finally figured out to get someone from one of the clubs out there involved. And I'm hoping the same thing with Wesley Chapel or Plant City, and same thing with Mark. I mean, although the guys were always involved from Braden River, but I mean, I think Mark brings he can bring the information directly back into those guys, and it's a big club and a big group.
Well, I tell you one thing about getting somebody from Plant City. What I'm seeing right now is the migration from Lakeland Soccer Club to Plant City. Plant City's benefiting from what Lakeland Soccer Club's doing. People are they're not satisfied with Lakeland right now.
You think a lot of them are coming from that area, Alan?
Yes, they're migrating toward Plant City. Yes.
Now, the guy that was at Plant City is gone. See, Steve Rossiter had for years been kind of the Plant City guy there, and then he left and took a team, and I think he's out of it. I think he's pretty well done.
But Plant City's a hotbed right now. That's not a bad choice.
It's a big area, and we got a lot of Spanish kids who play soccer. We got a lot of soccer players out there, just like out by you. So I mean, it's
yeah. Why are we having such a hard time finding this Jessica girl? Are you just asking if we know her?
She's never around. I mean, she doesn't come to these.
I don't know her.
She wasn't at the AGM yesterday. I mean, I have no.
Who is she though? Is she the president over there now?
Apparently, I think
believe she's the president, yeah.
But we don't even know this. So, Steve, more to the point, we don't even know who the president is out there.
Well, how did her name get brought up? I was just curious, just because you said Plant City.
Mike and forget the other person, but Mike knows who's out there and has been in touch with her. Knows, or at least knows who's. Because Mike, you knew the head coach out there fairly well, actually.
Yeah. Greg. Well, I think everybody. Greg Peterson was out there, not Greg. Yeah. So.
I know that name too. Yeah. Okay.
She is the president.
Yeah.
I'm looking at, they sent in their affiliation form.
Yeah, so she's been involved. We don't see her otherwise. We don't, not that I'm not being critical. I'm just saying she isn't drawn into this yet.
She did tell me that she'd be very interested in joining.
She told you that would be the case? Oh, well, then let's reach out to her then.
Good.
Mike,
and tell her that Kai will give her the treasurer's position.
Well, again, she'd be an at-large. We do the same thing.
Yeah, we'll do another at-large. Yeah, okay.
Hey, Kai, have you made any decisions about running yet? Come on, man.
You're going to make it the day of, aren't you?
Well, no, there's just a couple things in the works
that you have to see.
So
I got to see how they play out.
All right.
Give us a timeline.
You got to let us know so we can start getting proxy votes.
Give a timeline, man. When
I
are you
would
going to
say
know?
within the next
2 weeks?
2 to 3 days, I should know
2 to 3 days.
where I'm leaning at.
Okay, so by what's today? What is today?
By the end of the week. By the end of the week.
By Thursday.
It's Sunday, right? Okay.
That's
So by the end of the week.
We want to get to those other three.
No, seriously, because we want to make sure. I mean, I know West Pasco has a ton of votes, and you'd get that vote. So and we want to start getting proxies.
Well, I think we could get the Brevard, Central Florida North guys if they have.
Actually, the Brevard guys are looking to get one of their own in because I didn't know this. I have a friend over that just attended the AGM of that league, and the treasurer is from that part of the state.
Yeah, Eric.
The kid.
The kid, because he used to be part of
his mom was there for years.
He was on the board of the BYSL, which is their USA league.
Yeah.
And they have 2 or 3 people on the FYSA board that used to be part of that board of that league, and
A lot of
a
boards.
friend of mine said they're trying to get more people from their area to get onto the FYSA board.
Well, if they're anything like him, we don't want any more.
He's a tax attorney.
Yeah, we know. We could tell the way he was.
Yeah, besides that, now we had John Stacy's buddy, the executive director was there at this AGM, right? And he gets up and says, we're having trouble getting fields for some of these FYSA events. So somebody said, well, you're paying $30 a field. So I said, well, if you're having trouble, why don't you raise the $30? Because no one's going to do it for $30. It's ridiculous. If
Yeah.
you can't get volunteers, you can't get people, you got to park.
So they only want to pay $30, but they allow their president to have a $3,000-$4,000 weekend at a hotel with
No,
rooms.
but that was my point is beyond that, Kai.
Well, the kid pointed
So-
out that these
So
are
Eric
not-
says, well, what if we put 1,000? Someone's going to have to pay for that. We don't have that.
yeah, it's called you.
And you know what? They said, you'll have to pay for it. Well, you know the difference between paying $70 for every kid is $7 a kid for the whole weekend. Now they're charging $350 and they're worried about the $7. So
See, they're not worried. See, that's the thing. They're not thinking it when you break it down like that. You know, like when they tell you,
No, but the operational thing, Steve, is not that. Stop when you say they're not thinking.
to be honest with you, why does it have to be passed on to us? If you were talking about a $20 increase, you mean to tell me that FYSA can keep their commissioner cups and their fees
Exactly.
at the same price and still be able to give us $50 per field?
Wouldn't you like to see?
I didn't chime in on that conversation because I think I would have gone at it, but you know, the
Well,
point.
Dave got upset. He said someone's going to have to pay. I got to pay.
Yeah, and my answer, but I didn't.
I want to see the
wanna get into
P&L.
it was, yeah. Why do we have to pay for it? You don't have enough money to pay for it.
Well,
you telling us that you don't have
wouldn't you like to see the entire? Did you see how many teams they were talking about? The Head Commissioners Cup. I would like to see the P&L for the 300 and something teams at $350 each. How you could spend that amount of money?
That's what I'm
and
saying.
be in the red.
That's what I'm saying. So you mean to tell me that you don't have some profit from that you could say, all right, we'll just take a little less profit and give them $50 a field next
Well,
time.
they get the first thing out of their mouths at this meeting, and it was the first time I've ever heard this defensiveness. We're not keeping them. We're not keeping them. We're not having them. You know, right away. That's the Shakespeare line.
That's what I was telling you, that they had that approach of he was trying to clean up an image of what people have of him. Well, guess what? Do it by giving us $50 a field and not charging us.
He said they're losing money. That's the first words out of his
They're
mouth.
losing money.
They're losing money.
Well, I'd like to see it.
Well, that's what. But I think we should. I think at this AGM,
So operating with $4 million isn't enough.
you know, but we
Apparently
need to
not.
start pressing that, Kai. That's part of what this AGM is going to
Well,
be.
you got to admit, who are their paid
We
positions?
would like to see the P&L for those events.
You know,
We're
who are
winning,
those?
right?
But who are their paid positions? Him, probably, right? Or is he a board member?
Well, but the Commissioners Cup, maybe they got some guy making $50,000 because he's the organizer. I don't know.
Well, that's what I would like to see. Where's your paid positions?
But not to. But those guys all jumped on me. Which I don't know.
Yeah.
But and none of them had even scratched out the arithmetic. You know, I said, hey, if it's. He said, well, what about 1,000? Well, you know, okay, charges 1,000. What's the difference, man? You'll get fields $1,000 a game. You'll get fields. Do you know those guys? And then when
You
you
won't
think
get
about
team.
it,
But
what
you'll
they're saying is, if I told a parent on your team, Kai, that you did not have to drive down to Lakewood Ranch is not a problem, but I mean, we have shitloads of those things down in
It's always Fort
Cape
Myers,
Coral
Cape
and that whole
Coral.
area. If I told them you're not gonna have to get a hotel, and you're not gonna have to drive down there, and it'll cost you $7 to have them at your fields because you got 3 fields. That's enough. If 5 of us had 3 fields, that would be plenty.
Because they don't see it as the $7 thing. They see it as raising the fees, and then they're afraid they're not going to get the teams because they're going to be like, well, I'm not paying $50 more. Or I'm not paying, even though you break it down to $7 to $10 per kid, which is not really that big a deal. They look at it as raising fees,
But
which
Steve,
I don't think they have to.
it's three fields, right? That the field will cost you, right? $70, and you got 30 kids on the field, and they're going to play 3 games. I mean, you do the arithmetic.
No, the math is right. I'm just saying, and they don't.
No, but I'm saying it's $7 total.
Total. Oh, that's
Total.
true. Total. Yeah.
Total.
That just means they don't have gas to take the private yacht out.
Well, that's what I'm
Well,
saying. I think
the
they have
point
the
was
money
that
to do
the
it
guy
without
that's-
having to raise any fees.
The executive director of FYSA is asking an open question in a meeting. And someone says, we'll raise the thing, and he can't figure that out. He's too dumb to even stop and say, well, how much would that cost? Well, it's
Yeah, and he's
$7.
a paid
Hey,
position.
that's a good idea, man. Why didn't we think of that? Why are
Bobby
we not-
making his, well, it's like Mike Strickler. He was awful. His when he was, come on.
Well, the first question was Stacy and you, Kai, was who are you and why are you asking me these questions? Not you're a member and here's the answer.
I said he'd give an answer back in July or August.
Well, Stacy, you saw Stacy's emails. I don't know if you guys did. He was basically kind of pissed that Kai would even ask these questions. Why didn't you tell me this before? Why are you bringing this up now?
Is that the position you're running for, Kai?
That's the position we got to get somebody. to run for.
If I'm able to, I would run against John
Stacy.
Stacey. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, just so you know, Kai, in the drawing they had, you won 4 center field tickets to the Rowdies. Plus
I heard, and I would have given them back. So
and a parking pass, but because you weren't there, they had to
You could have
give
scalped that parking pass.
they had to give it out to McCarran, and she wasn't there, but that was okay.
Because a family member was there.
It was okay that McCarran, no, it was her next door neighbor or somebody, whatever. But it was okay that she wasn't there, but because you weren't there, you couldn't get the tickets.
Oh, the executive director says, and she's part of one of those clubs that really is doing a great job. AB and those guys. I mean, for Christ's sake, the guy. I mean, it's like
not like TBU needs more tickets to the Rowdies, right?
All right.
Oh, that's great.
All right.
All right. All right.
All right. Is there anything else?
No. Oh,
No.
I don't really want to talk about it that much, but the question, I have a question, just a quick question for Sherry, but this one gentleman, or I saw an email today, Paul, that you said we discuss about the assigners or something.
Yeah. Now, we
All
can't.
right, I don't want to make this a long conversation,
We
but
can't do it now, but he asked, and Greg and I and Merritt, and I think maybe Mike and Merritt, we're talking about just taking over the refs, that we assign all of the referees.
we assign all the refs? Oh, okay. I didn't know if it was we assign all the refs or we let them.
Yeah. No. That was the thing that, if we did that, we may be able to organize this better because we'll have the referees, we'll know what they're doing. I don't know, but
Yeah. Okay.
it's a long step from assigning centers to assigning all the
Okay.
referees for ours.
So it's just something that we'll tell him we are going to discuss.
No. But I think it's an interesting. The guy from Lake Wales said, "Geez, would you guys take over?" Now we can ask the assigner if he do it. They're going to have to pay him. Or we
Right.
can ask him if he do it. I think it's Dave Deegan.
Well, who's going to pay for that? Is that
Them.
really?
Them.
So in other words, we have to raise our fees.
No.
Just
They're,
like FYSA.
no. They're paying somebody now. So now they pay Dave Deegan to do all their lines and centers and give them all the information.
Oh, I got you. I see what you're saying. Okay.
They would set up some kind of fee with the clubs.
Yeah, I got you. Okay.
But they would do it all. That way it would eliminate the problems they're
The
having
local.
with some of them.
It would eliminate the
But
local.
the guy from
people.
Lake Wales actually is the assigner and doesn't charge. So
Right.
they'd incur a charge, but that's okay.
Right.
Yeah, it'd be the 8s, 9s, and 10s, and all the ARs.
Gotcha. Okay. So what I'm saying is it's not really up for a discussion because we can't do that now anyway.
No,
Yeah.
but if we did it, it's not a bad idea, but we'd have to phase it in. We really have to get some thought behind it because I don't think our assigners, all of them, would be willing to do
Okay.
it.
So not even some we'd probably look into doing until next year and then maybe only doing seniors or something.
Yeah, but maybe start getting ready, yes. Do it.
Okay, I'm fixing up in a minute. It's almost over.
Okay. All right. And then Sherry, last question. Timeline, are the teams are in God Soccer, right? But they're just not put in in any divisions of any kind? Is that what we're looking at this point?
Well, the applications are there, but if they haven't paid, then they may not show up on your side. So I have to get them paid. Probably 60% have paid, and the rest I got to sort that out with Greg.
So they're not going to show up even if they haven't paid.
I
All right.
don't think so.
Because I'm just starting to get some questions about, where is this, depending on that one guy from Celtic, he's emailing me about,
I mean,
what do the
typically,
divisions look like,
where would I don't normally put them in divisions until after the meeting. How would I know what divisions?
Just tentative divisions,
like
based
what they're requesting.
based on what they've requested, not necessarily what they're going to be, but based on what they've requested.
I can start working on that.
You know what I'm saying? Just so we kind of get an idea. So when I go in there to look at it, or Mike goes in there to look at it, not Mike.
Alan,
Yes.
Yeah, you go in to look at it for the senior boys. You can say, all right, it looks like I have this many in Division One. But now let's look at, because in my opinion, if I have an open slot in Division One and a team's coming up from like a Cape Coral that would want to play a Division One, even though they didn't play in our league last year, they're a new team. I'm still going to put them there if they've won this tournament and that cup and this tournament and that cup.
All right. Yeah,
So
I'll start.
so I can get an idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Alan,
Yes.
who's Allison or Alyssa? I got a check here from Auburndale, and I got no team name, no nothing. $275, and it appears as though the name on the check is Allisa, Alyssa, somebody or other, Walden or something.
I don't know, but I can find out.
but Sherry, does that match up with any of the applications?
That's what I was gonna say, because it'll probably match up with the coach's name. So
Okay, well,
I'm
then
looking right now.
I'll give you that stuff when we're done here. Okay.
All right, guys.
All right.
Got it.
Sounds
All
good.
right.
I'm done.
All right.
Got it.
Okay.
We're going to adjourn.
Thanks, guys. Just
All
hang
right,
on,
bye-bye.
Sherry.